Awesome, awesome, awesome. There's everybody. There's Karen. Hello, ladies. There's 20. Oh, there's Katrina. And who else am I seeing? I thought I saw Z here. Oh my God. Look who's up there. Okay. Is that Tessie? Awesome. Hello, ladies. How are you? I'm so excited that you all are here. I don't know who else is in here. I think there's Z. I see her. And we're about to get this party started. I'm so excited that you all are here. This has been kind of nerve-wracking, and I'll thank you guys for being here. This has been the first time that my team has been with me to do a virtual event. So I'm so proud of them, I have to say, because they have really stepped up to the plate. And this is like a test, project for them to learn how to do it right, Karen. So I'm so excited. These next 3 days are going to be amazing. Most of all because I wanted to create a intimate space where we could get to know each other, a space where, can you all hear me better? For some reason, I'm just, yeah, something is definitely, I can't hear myself talk, I'm sorry. I can't hear myself talk, so hopefully, let me tell them to get it right, you guys. Be patient with me. Hold on just a second. Okay, can you all hear me now?
Yeah, it actually sounds great with the earphones in.
Earphones in, okay, awesome. Okay, and so I wanted to spend some personal time so we could get to know each other, and some time where your followers could come, and then we could all connect and just have some oneness. That was my total vision behind us meeting. And so I'm so glad for that, because I don't know, you know, as God begins to move my business along, I'm learning how to appreciate the intimate moments. And so that's what we're going to share these next 3 days. So I'm so excited about that. And so Karen, I can't tell you all how much I love me some Karen. When I met Karen, I think I was having an off day, and Karen came into the room and she spoke, and she just lifted my spirit. Since then, I have loved hearing her. Karen comes and brings so much value, so much wisdom. And I'm thankful because she's very intentional, and she always dropped nuggets that you don't think that you would ever think about. So I'm happy to introduce you all to Karen. Now, Karen is an internationally recognized leadership expert. She knows leadership like the back of her hand. She's been doing it a very long time. She's a speaker, life coach, and author with over 30 years of transformative leadership experience. That's a long time. So if you need somebody to go to for leadership experience, you want to talk to Karen. Karen is the CEO of Solomon's Porch Women's Society. Solomon's Porch Women's Society was founded in 1998 with chapters throughout America. Solomon's Porch touches the lives of influential women involved in an affiliate with the entertainment industry, the NBA, wow, the NFL, MLB, and also includes governors, mayors, diplomats, and pastors' wives. She's loaded, you all. Karen is the founder and director of Ravens Hope International and is a US-based ministry with a vision to empower women to change the world. RHI is a Christ-centered learning program that offers spiritual growth and biblical studies, leadership development, life skills, and mission opportunities to young ladies, generally 18 to 30 years of old, from around the world. Karen is also the senior advisor and liaison for the CEO Master Club. CEO Master Club is the first business coaching network that an award platform in Cambodia. Wow. That empowers small business owners and leaders. CMC has the largest business owner membership in Southeast Asia. Over the last 10 years, they have impacted over 20,000 business owners throughout Asia. Karen helps to develop leaders all around the world, from US, Cambodia, Amsterdam, Singapore, Haiti, and many more, by teaching them to reach their audiences through compassion, candor, and communication. Karen believes the wine is in the cluster, not in the grape. Wow. And we are better together. I'm so happy to introduce to you for the next 45 minutes. This is our sister, Miss Karen Robinson. Karen, I think you are you muted? There you go.
Okay. I said, I am so excited about being here. I'm honored. I'm ecstatic. Mayrion, thank you so much again. When I stepped into your room, I felt a divine connection, a covenant sisterhood. I do believe in those. And I truly believe the wine is in the cluster. It's not in the grape. So I am honored. So I say good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, good evening. I'm excited about being here. Today, I am going to be talking about, are we there yet? How to navigate from here to there. I'm going to be simply talking about where we are as a people and where we want to go. Transition and traveling. And when I'm talking about traveling, I'm not talking about physically traveling. I'm talking about that mental traveling. I'm talking about the desire to get to your desired height, to reach that place that you want to reach. Sometimes it's so irritating. Sometimes it's so frustrating. I often say that there's nothing more frustrating to see something in here, see it in here, but never get an opportunity to touch it and to experience. And that was never God's intention. So in our journey as traveling and moving forward, sometimes we get to a place where we just want to go forward. We just want to move forward. So today I'm simply talking about, are we here yet? Navigating from here to there, simply navigating from here to there. I'm sure all of you at one time or the other, if it wasn't your children, perhaps it was someone else's children. You're on a long travel and the children have said over 1,000 times, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I have grandchildren and they often ask over and over again, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And you guys, that's very irritating, but there's nothing more frustrating when you yourself is on a journey, when you're waiting to be somewhere, you're waiting for something. There's a spirit of anticipation or expectation, and you yourself is asking, are we there yet? It's one thing to hear your children, your grandchildren, or the travelers, or the passenger ask, are we here yet? But what happens when it's you? When you're in that season and you're saying, are we here yet? So I want to talk about today, nowhere between two somewheres. I want to talk about when you're smack dead in the middle sometime. I want to talk about when you're journaling and you're too far to see where you've been, but you're too far to see where you're gone, and you're right there in that place where you're traveling forward. So first of all, I want to talk about the purpose of transition. I want to talk about the purpose of changing places. I want to talk about embracing change. One of the things we have to do, first of all, when we understand we're here, but we desire to go there, the first thing we have to do is we have to mentally embrace change. In order to go from here to there, the first thing you have to realize is change is about to take place. Change is about to take place. And we hear people say all the time, change is inevitable. And true story, change is inevitable, but great change is optional. Change is inevitable, but great change is optional. And one of the things I want to encourage you as you are in transition, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to embrace change. I don't mean shake hands with change. I don't mean high five change. I literally mean take a hold of change and embrace change, because change ain't change until you change. So we have to embrace change. And the way you embrace change by initiating it. We have to initiate change. Sometimes the change you want to see, you need to create. We have to initiate change. We have to participate in change. A lot of times there's change taking place around us and we like, this isn't the way it used to be. This is not how my mother did it. This is not how we used to do it. So you have to literally participate in change. So you have to participate in change. So you have to initiate change, participate change, and then you have to anticipate change. Change is coming. Anticipate change. So even when we're on transition and when we're in transition, you guys, and when we're moving from one place to the other, the first thing you have to realize is something have to come to an end. Something have to come to an end. We get so excited about the new. We get so excited about our next season. We get so excited about our next, but we forget in order to step fully into your next, yesterday has to die. So as we're talking about moving forward, the first thing I want you guys to know is yesterday have to die. Yesterday must die. In order to step completely into your future, completely into your tomorrow, completely into your now, you have to let go of yesterday. So something has to end. Something has to come to an end. And in that ending, a lot of times we don't realize there's a grieving process. And a lot of times we don't even realize in that middle of transition, we're thinking, what is going on? What am I feeling? What is it? It's that grieving moment. It's that moment where you're grieving, that strange feeling that you're feeling as you're moving from point A to point B. It's grieving. I remember when my husband and I, we moved from Kansas City to Nashville, and we have been born and raised in Kansas City all our life. But we moved our two children to Nashville. And when we moved to Nashville, you guys, when I got to Nashville, I remember saying, I just want something familiar. I just wanted something familiar. And I remember God said to me, am I not familiar to you? He said, Karen, don't have the squirrel syndrome. And you guys, I didn't realize a squirrel even had a syndrome. But God began to share with me that a squirrel's natural instinct is to go back. If you've ever seen a squirrel, they can outrun a car, they can outrun a dog, they can outrun a cat, but oftentimes they're found dead in the street simply because their natural instinct is to go back to the familiar. And when we're in transition, we cannot have the squirrel syndrome where we always want to go back to the familiar. And sometimes the familiarity in that familiar place is a dangerous place because that's a place where we've gotten our groove. So the squirrel's natural instinct is to go back. A squirrel can be all the way across the street, but when they sense oncoming traffic or danger or hesitation or resistance, their natural instinct is to go back. And oftentimes that's where they lose their life. That's where they lose their stride. So in transition, as we're talking about transition, I want you to remember to always go forward. A squirrel, I guess they're familiar. It could have been horrible, awful in the past, but they feel like I'm familiar with it. I don't know what the future look like yet. And even as we're moving forward, sometimes we don't know what the future look like. So a lot of times we have a tendency to yield to yesterday or yield to the familiar, but the familiar is a very, very, very dangerous place. But the reason why we must walk through transition is simply because there are people we must meet. And I'll talk about that in just a moment, but we have to walk in transition. We have to move forward in transition because there are experiences we must encounter. There are people we must meet. There's victories that we must achieve. There's also failures we must experience. In that journey, it's very, very important. But let's talk about transition because oftentimes when we're talking about transition and because we're talking about leaders on this particular session, and because we're talking about professionals. A lot of times when we're talking about transition, we're talking about moving forward. We're talking about making that connection we need to make. We're talking about walking into a new level of success. We're talking about walking into a new level of our profession, becoming more professional at what we do. But the thing that we have to realize, success requires people. So in transition, the number one thing that needs to happen in transition is there are people that we are going to meet. Now let's talk about relationships. And the reason why I want to talk about relationship, because relationship, as you're going through transition, when you're required to be everything you were created to be, when you are desiring to reach that place of success that you have longed for, it will take people. Again, the introduction you heard of me is that I believe the wine is in the cluster. It's not in the grape. So if we are going to do anything great, it's going to be in the cluster. So the purpose of transition is for relationship. Now, let me tell you the purpose of relationship. The purpose of relationship hinges on the very last 4 letters of the word relationship, S-H-I-P, relationship. That word ship means transition. It is the vehicle that gets you from point A to point B. Again, S-H-I-P, that small 4 letters on the end of relationship is ship. It is the vehicle that helps transition you from point A to point B. Again, relationship is for destination and transformation. Again, relationship is for destination and transformation. So as God is getting us into that place, and as we're transitioning, there is also a transformation that's taking place, not just from one place to the other, but there's a transformation that's taking place down on the inside of us. And again, relationship is for destination and transformation. And because it's not just for destination, it's for transformation, God would literally cause you to meet people that are totally different than you. He will cause you to meet people that's different than you, so a change can take place down on the inside of you. So you can begin to transform, so you can move forward into that purpose, that destiny that He has for you. Because who you are here cannot be the person you become there. So there have to be a transformation on the journey that take place down on the inside of us. One of the things that's for sure, everywhere you go, you are there. Everywhere you go, you are there. You are one common denominator of every last one of your stops. You're the common denominator of every last one of your problems. You're the common denominator of every last one of your relationships. So when we're in transition and when we're moving from here to there, the thing that needs to change is not our mother, our father, our friends, our situation, our circumstance. Usually the thing that needs to change is the common denominator. If we say 20, we say 25 minus 5 is 20. If we say 4 times 5 is 20, 100 divided by 5 is 20, 15 plus 5 is 20. Those are 4 different problems, but we keep getting the same results, which is 20. That's because the common denominator is the same. So when we're in transition and we're moving from here to there, God is doing a transformation for the destination, for where He's taking us and where we're going. So it is so important for us to realize that as we're moving from point A to point B, there are some changing and some transformation that's taking place on the inside of us. And it starts right here. Because of where God is taking us, it requires a change. So everything in life simply starts as a seed, and a seed literally transforms into the fruit that it was created to be, and the tree it was created to be, so it can bear the fruit that it was created to bear. So as we're in transition, we may start very here, small at point A, but as we're traveling to point B, there should be a snowball effect where we are growing and we are becoming bigger and we are gaining momentum to get to our place of destination. So one of the things I want to share with you, that while we're in transition, there will be detours, there will be roadblocks, and there will be stops. But the thing I want you to know is that detours lead to the same place. Don't ever be overwhelmed by a detour, because detour lead to the same place. And when you hit a detour on the road, a detour has nothing to do with you, the vehicle. It is saying that the road is substandard for your destination. So sometimes we're moving forward and we're frustrated in life because there's that detour. That's that roadblock. And we've been detoured to a different direction in a different way. And the first thing we do is we get frustrated. Again, remember, the detour has nothing to do with you. It's just saying that that road, that route that you're on, it is substandard to where you're going. And the last thing before we open up with questions, I want to leave you with a story. My granddaughter and I was taking my granddaughter and my grandson, my husband and I, we were taking them to Kansas City. We're from Kansas City, so we're going to take them to Kansas City. We were having a family reunion, and it was a few days early. We decided to take our grandkids there early because we wanted to take them to Worlds of Fun. Worlds of Fun is an amusement park in Kansas City, Worlds of Fun. If you ever been to Kansas City, visit Worlds of Fun. But we were taking our grandchildren to Worlds of Fun. And when we were boarding them on the plane, my granddaughter, Clark, and my grandson, Ace, they were so excited. And they wanted to sit by a window. So my husband sat with Ace, my grandson, and I sat with my granddaughter, Clark. And Clark sat by the window, you guys. And as Clark looked out the window, she was so excited. She kept on looking out of the window, and a couple of times she asked, are we there yet? But she was so excited. She was so excited, and she watched as we soared above the clouds, and she was so excited that we were going to Worlds of Fun. And she asked questions. Yaya, she calls me Yaya. She said, Yaya, tell me about Worlds of Fun. She said, tell me about Worlds of Fun. I'm going to love it. I'm so excited. So I told her about Worlds of Fun. She'll sit back for a moment. She'll look out the window and she'll look up again. She say, are we there yet? And I'm like, Clark, we're not there yet. She said, how long, Yaya? How long are we there yet? She's just like us. That when we're trying to get to our purpose and our destiny, to that new place, we're saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And Clark was so excited. So now we get to a place where the flight attendant tell us that they need to prepare the cabin. The captain says, prepare the cabin. So the flight attendants begin to prepare the cabin. And as they prepare the cabin, of course, you know, we put up our tray tables and we put our seats up. And Clark is excited. She's like, oh my gosh, we're almost there. We're going to Worlds of Fun. And you guys, as soon as we land, Clark looks out the window. All the excitement that Clark had in that moment, she looks out the window and she just started crying. Clark began to cry, and she began to do the ugly cry. And it was a cry of sadness, and I couldn't understand how could a young girl be so excited about going to Worlds of Fun all of a sudden. At the moment of a landing, by looking out of a window, all of a sudden Clark cries. You go, yeah. I'm like, what is, I didn't know if she bit her tongue. I didn't know if she was sick. I wasn't for sure what was wrong with Clark. But Clark looked out the window, and if you've ever been to Kansas City, you'll understand this. Clark looked out the window, and as far as her eyes could see, when you land in Kansas City, there's nothing but an open field. When you land in the Kansas City airport, there's absolutely nothing to see but an open field. And when Clark looked out the window, she literally started crying. She said, yeah. She said, there's nothing here. There's nothing here, yeah. There's nothing here. She said, what kind of fun is this? This is not Worlds of Fun. There's nothing here. The thing that Clark didn't realize is that even though an airplane can take you far and take you fast, we had literally just traveled from Nashville to Kansas City far, fast, and high. The plane took us high, it took us fast, and it took us far. But Clark didn't realize that when we landed, we wasn't there yet. We still had to get off the plane, get in a car, and drive around the corner. So sometime as you're in transition, hear me when I say this, that when you're in transition, especially when you have a vision or a desire, or you've been given a spoken word, or you've been seeing, you can see your future ahead of you, God will take you high. He'll take you high in that moment, in that beginning stage of your transition. You'll go high. You'll go far and you'll go fast. You'll go high, you'll go far, and you'll go fast. But then you'll go get to that moment of landing. And I'm speaking to whoever's on this call right now, that now you've come to that landing and you're now looking out that window just as Clark did. And you're in that moment and you said, I don't see it. I don't see what I thought I would see. I don't feel what I thought I would feel. This isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. Because you don't realize, just like Clark, then now you have to get off that big vehicle. You have to get off that high. You have to get off that high. And now you have to grab your luggage that you carry. Hear me when I say, now you have to go to the baggage claim, and you have to grab your baggage. And now you have to get in the vehicle. As big as that plane was, as high as that plane went, as far as that plane went, it was too big and it didn't have the ability to drive you around the corner to worlds of fun. So sometime in the beginning of your vision, the momentum that you have will take you high, it'll take you far, and it'll take you fast. But the momentum cannot drive you around the corner to your worlds of fun, to your place of destiny. And Clark didn't realize that. So as you're in transition, and for anyone that's in that moment where you feel like, am I there yet? Realize you still need to get out of the plane and onto the car and just drive around the corner. Again, we talk about nowhere between two somewheres. Sometime landing in that plane lands you in nowhere between two somewheres. Sometimes you get out, leave one door, and you look for that other door, and that other door is around the corner. Nobody told you you had to go through the hallway or cross the hallway to get to the other door. Don't panic when you're in that nowhere between two somewhere. Keep moving. Your destination is on the other side. Your destination is around the corner. Your worlds of fun is still available for you. So thank you for your time. At this particular time, we'll open up for questions that I can answer for you. Thank you again. We are there.
Wow. Yeah. That was amazing. Yeah. And Karen, I do have a question. I have tons of them, but I do have a question about when we're transitioning. Mm-hmm. So as we transition, and as things begin to, we always think that the transition portion is easy, but when it's not, and when we do get confused about the transition and what's mm-hmm. going on, what is some wisdom you can tell us about that part? Because we're just so tangible, and we're used to having touching and hearing. Mm-hmm. What would you say? What tips can you give us for when we are at that stage? What do we do?
That's a very, very good question. So again, when you introduced me, I said the wine is in the cluster. It's not in the grape. One of the things, first of all, we need to realize, don't travel alone. Don't travel alone. Even as women of faith, as a woman of faith, one of the things that I learned, Jesus sent them out in twos because it was so important not to travel alone. So in transition, keep in mind, don't travel alone. There are 5 people I suggest that you have with you always in life. And I call these my extra hand. 2 hands we can do a whole lot with. We can live and survive with 2 hands, but we thrive with 3 hands. With that 3rd hand, that extra hand is your coach. Everyone needs a coach. Mentor. Everyone needs a mentor. Friend. You're a cheerleader. And then your protege. That's your extra hand. If you're missing any of these, you do not have an extra hand. But this extra hand costs you. Your coach costs you money. They teach you what to do. Your mentor costs you energy because you help serve them, and they teach you who to be. A coach teach you what to do. A mentor teach you who to be. So that costs you energy because you're serving them. You're walking alongside them. Your friend, it costs you an exchange because in a friendship, you give. There's you give, I give. And then you have that cheerleader. Cheerleaders, they give you what they want. They give you affirmation. So that costs you affirmation. They want you to cheer them on as well. And then that protege, that person you should be mentoring, that helper, they cost you time. So whenever you're in that moment, if you're not traveling alone, hear me when I say, if you're not traveling alone and you have that extra hand, when you need to be coached, they're available. When you need to be mentored, they're available. When you need that friend that's going to cry with you, that ride and die, that up and down friend, that'll be with you. When you need that cheerleader, they're there. And when you need that helper, that protege, they're going to be at your side helping you. So what I say to you, don't travel alone. And if you don't travel alone, you'll have that extra hand. It's kind of on a road trip. When you have a flat tire, it's okay if someone's with you. It's still, you laugh about it. It may be irritating, but it's worse when you're alone. When you have a flat tire, you break down by yourself. There's nothing more painful. But when you have that friend with you or someone to walk alongside with you, especially somebody stop on the side of the road, that extra hand, it's very beneficial. So I say to you, don't travel alone, and that will eliminate a lot of the tension, frustration, and irritation. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That totally makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you for that. Ladies, next question. Anybody else have a question they want to ask? Because I have one more I want to ask Karen, if nobody else does. Does anybody else have one? Katrina, Z? Anybody? So, no? So Karen, one more question then that I'm going to ask. When you talk about the relationship piece of traveling from here to there,
Mm-hmm.
how can we make sure, and I don't know if this is, if there's any way to know this,
Mm-hmm.
that we are building relationships with the right people, and that is
Mm-hmm.
people that are in our corner, people that are not working against us, people that I'm happy for them, they're happy for me. How can we, are we ever self-assured we're building the right relationships, especially with women, because sometimes we have a hard time, with each other. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. Here's the thing I say, the way you know whether you're in the right relationship is, who are you becoming in their presence? Who are you becoming? Just as Mary showed up for Elizabeth and a baby was leaped, they became someone in their present. But even in that, hear me when I say, a lot of times when we hear who are you becoming in their present, we think that the relationships still have to be a good relationship. When you think about Jesus and his 12 disciples, he had Judas. Even in Judas' present, he still became who he was. That's what caused him become Christ, because before he was Jesus. But Judah helped him become Jesus Christ. That means that's where he died on the cross and became the savior of the world. Before that, he was Jesus, the teacher, the rabbi. But Judas, even he betrayed him, he helped him become who he was created to be for us in the world. So the question is, who am I becoming in your present? So there are going to be people in your life that is going to literally make your baby leap. They are going to stir you. They are going to cause you to realize there is something on the inside of me. It is alive. My dreams haven't died. But then there'll be people in your life that will literally betray you. They will literally betray you, such as Judah, but they'll still help you become. So the question is, who am I becoming? If the people in your life is still helping you become who you were created to be, they are the right people. There are some things, when I go back over my journey and I go back over my season, you guys, between the age of 8 and 12, I was sexually abused. There are some very hardships and the things that I experienced, but they helped me become who I am today. As horrible as that was, it still helped me become who I am today. They were necessary. My enemy was just as necessary as my friend. So don't shut the door on your enemy. Just watch them. Just watch them very carefully.
That is really awesome. So even though we encounter people and they may not be there for the good reason, there is something good, you're saying, that can come out of that relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So long as you are becoming, there are some relationships. And when I say who are you becoming in their present, you should be coming fully. You should be being developed fully into who you were created to be. Just so many times I say all the time when I'm teaching, I usually use purpose and destiny and my gift as an apple tree. I am an apple tree. And I am yet becoming. I literally started in seed form, just like everybody else, trying to find purpose and destiny along the way as a little girl, going through life situations and circumstances. It yet developed me. I was a seed that literally had to be planted. I had to be broken. I had to go through that dark season. I had to bloom. I had to grow. And then I had to produce, like all of us. But then again, there's moments where I had to be fertilized. I had to be fertilized. And that's that mess we don't like. So fertilizing The people that are a fertilizer, there may not be bad people if they are a fertilizer. Now, when the lumberjack come to cut you down, that's not a good friend. The fertilizer is a good friend. The lumberjack may not be. He's coming to cut you down. That's not a good relationship. But the fertilizer is. Does that make sense?
Wow. It does. It does. It makes a whole lot of sense. So the ship is what transitions us from one place to another. But we also have to realize, if I heard you right, that in order to have that success, we need people. So you can't do that without having people to transition from one place to the next place.
And again, relationship is for destination and transformation. Again, it's for destination and transformation. So a lot of times when people come in our life, we have said they're trying to change me. Yes, they are. God has literally placed people in your life to change you, to help you become. We talk about becoming Karen, becoming whoever we were created to be. But there is in becoming, there is a change. There's a cost to become. You lose who you were to become who you desire to be in that call. So if you desire to be anything great, you have to be willing to die and strip yourself of everything of yesterday to become. So God will bring people in our life. Guess what they're trying to do? They're trying to change us. So when you say they're trying to change it, they are. You guys, I came from a big family. My parents had 10 kids, 8 boys and 2 girls. 8 boys and 2 girls. I'm number 9 out of 10 kids. My father left when I was 2. So he left my mother there with all his kids when I was 2. So growing up in the heart of the inner city, with government assistance, us living from house to house, my mother doing the best as she can. I never thought I would be traveling to the 4 corners of the earth, but I literally had to leave my inner city to do what I was created to do. I had to meet people that was different than me. I had to go places that was different than I've never seen before. I had to eat things I've never seen before. I had to experience things I've never experienced before. And I had to say yes to the change. I had to say yes to the change, or I could be very still back in my city doing nothing but nothing. But now I travel the 4 corners of the earth. I stand on stages with prime ministers. I speak into the lives of high profile women. I fortify leaders and I empower women to change the world. And I am a girl, I'm a sister from the hood that don't know how to cross all my T's and I don't know how to dot all my I's, but I've been given that opportunity because I was willing to let a relationship change me.
Wow. Ooh, that's something. And it wasn't a relationship that was something that was positive. You're saying, so we need not, even though the relationships can be ugly, sometimes we can get hurt and we can get wounded, we still can get something from that relationship.
Yeah. The crazy thing about relationships and transition and becoming, it requires people. But the thing about people bring a lot of pain. A lot of pain, but people bring a lot of healing. Our pain comes from people, but our healing comes from people too. And if we ever get to a point where we feel like there's too much pain and we shut down, guess what? We shut out our healing. We're not just shutting out people, we're shutting out our healing. We're shutting out our progress. We're shutting out our becoming. Just as a man, I was abused between the age of 12. A man abused me and wounded me, but God also sent a man at the age of 16 to heal me. I met my husband at the age of 16. We dated 16 going on 17. We dated 4.5 years. We got married at 25, at 21. We've now been married for 35 years. A man hurt me, but God sent a man to bring healing to me as well. So had I shut down to relationship, I would not have received the healing that I needed. Relationships are necessary. If Jesus himself was celebrated, but yet rejected, and his back was turned on and spit on, who are we? Because relationships are very, very important. Don't run from relationships. I need you. You need me. Come with the good, come with the bad. I'm an imperfect person, so I promise you, spend some time with me long enough. I'm going to hurt you at some point, but you're going to hurt me at some point also. That's friendship. That's relationship. That's what people do. People are people, and people are going to do what people do.
Wow. I just want you to know some of the things that are being said about you in the chat. And that is 20 says, awesome stuff, Karen. Thank you so much. Katrina, yes, thank you. Hayley says, very motivating, Karen. And Shonda says, phenomenal, Karen. I loved everything you shared. Dr. Crystal Clay says, awesome word. Let's turn some corners. Tessie says, amazing word. I took lots of notes. Thank you, Karen. And I said, what a word. And we have another attendee that says, thank you, Karen, for this amazing word.
You're welcome. You're
Ladies,
welcome.
this was awesome. Is there anybody else that wants to ask Karen a question? We need to leverage her while she's here, because Karen is so wise and she dropped so many nuggets. And the one nugget that I got today was that we need people. And sometimes we're going to hurt each other, but we still cannot turn our back on each other. And we can also nurture those relationships. And just because we get hurt does not mean that relationship is, we just shut down. I got it. Yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. Ladies, we got to just give Karen. Hey, Miss Tessie.
Hi, I had a question for Karen. It was such an amazing word. Karen, I mean, I'm all over everything that you've shared because it really hit home, especially when it came to embracing change. And one of the things that you said is that we have to, you said, accept that something has to die. And when I tell you, I have done workshops on change management and so forth. And one of the things that I saw is that people don't like change because it means something has to die. They're thinking, I have to give up something, and they're not ready to let it go. So what are some tips that you can offer us, or techniques to help people to deal with the death of something so they can move on to something new? Thank you, Karen.
The first thing I would say is make sure you keep the vision before you. And when I say the vision before you, do whatever you have to do. Because again, when I talk about that nowhere between somewhere, it's sometimes the middle. It is the middle that's the hardest, because you're like I said, you're too far to see where you've been and you're too far to see where you're going. So now you're caught smack dead in the middle. It's like I was in the Pacific Ocean. I went over to Cambodia. We were going to an island and we got so far. We got about 2 hours into the island and we could see nothing but water as far as our eyes can see. But that is the time when you have to remember where you're going. You have to remember the dream. So it's so important when you have to write the dreams on the tablets of your heart, bind them around your neck, engrave them in your spirit. So when you don't see it with your eyes, you see it with your spirit. You see it with your heart. You see it with your mind. You see it with your desire, because that is the thing that keep you going and keep you stirring. And that's where the momentum comes from, is from the inside, because things on the outside is temporal. Things on the outside change. When you're in transition, listen to me, when we're in transition and you're in a road trip and you're going from point A to point B, your scenery is constantly changing. But because you know where you're going, it's okay. It's okay. So when you hop in your car and leave your home and you go around the corner, you no longer see your home. And then you no longer see the store you're familiar with. You switch highways, you switch lanes, you switch freeways. Nothing remains the same. Each roadway presents a different scenery. But you know where you're going, right? So you're never frustrated, you're never irritated, because you know where you're going. So when you're in transition, always remember where you're going. I don't care if you have to write it on a vision board, put a sticky on it, bind it around your neck, engrave it in your spirit, put it here, because when you always know where you're going, it doesn't matter what outside sources or outside hindrance or outside forces say, your inside will be so determined and it will keep you going every single time. Did that help you, Tessie?
Oh, most definitely. And that is actually what I was thinking, was like, you want to give people something to look towards, like you said, because familiar, they're so used to the familiar and they want to stay right where they are. And I had to give up familiar. Something had to die. That steady paycheck, I had to let it go. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it was scary. You don't know how many times the squirrel syndrome was about to take me out, and I was going to get ran right over because God wasn't having it. And so, you know, when I just listening to you, how it flowed with what you were saying and that death thing, it was like, I didn't embrace the death. I guess I thought it was still lingering. You know what I'm saying? It was still alive back there somewhere. Maybe I need to go back and get it, but I needed to embrace that. Let yesterday die with yesterday.
And Tessie, one of the things I realized, you are a woman of God. So one of the scriptures that helped me in my transition was Genesis, the 23rd chapter. It's when Abraham lost Sarah. It says Abraham buried his wife, Sarah. He said he stood before her, he cried. He said he stood up. So the first thing that scripture tells us that Sarah died. It says Abraham wept, meaning there's nothing wrong with weeping over yesterday. You grieve, grieving is necessary. But it said he got up. He got up. So it's so important to get up. But then not only did he get up, it said he asked for a burial site that he can bury her out of his sight. He didn't bury her on the side of the road. He said, I need a burial site so I can bury it out of my sight. So then he began to talk to the Hittites and said, give me a burial site and how much does it cost? And they were like, Abraham, what is it between me and you? It don't cost you nothing. He's like, no, I'm willing to pay the cost. He said, I would not offer God that to cost me nothing. So we get up, bury it out of your sight and pay the cost. Pay the cost.
Wow.
Okay.
You nailed it, Karen. I'm telling you, girl, I'm sitting over here like, woo, all over the place with that one. Yeah,
she did. Notes everywhere. Notes everywhere. Karen, we love that. So now we've got it today, ladies, that we know what relationship means. We know that even with us, with each other, things can happen. But when they do, we have to give that relationship another chance. We know that when we're in transition, there's a purpose for our transition. We have to mentally prepare ourselves to embrace change, because in our mind, that's why, Karen, I would assume that's why we have to do some mindset work. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Oh, got it. And yesterday it has to die in order for it to end. So we have to bury it.
Yes.
Awesome. Anybody else before Karen shuts down? She nailed it. And she always comes with a vengeance, always come with a wise word of wisdom. So now, Karen, tell us where we can find you. Tell us what you have on. Tell us if you have any offers coming, any speaking engagements on your Facebook group. Tell us how we can get a hold of you on Clubhouse. Tell us how we can get you if we needed your services.
Okay, very good. First of all, I want to share with you a word that God gave me last Thursday. I shared on Clubhouse, but just in case anyone didn't hear it, I want you to hear it, because a lot of us on the inside of us, we're feeling transition. We're feeling a forward movement. Everything on the inside of us is saying movement. I'm moving ahead. You feel it. There's an anticipation. There's an expectation. Everything on the inside of you see you moving forward. But what you're experiencing is contrary to what you feel. And it feel like, man, I'm going backwards. I feel like I'm going backwards. I feel like I'm going backwards. And one of the things I want you to say that you're going backwards, it's not a I'm going backwards to stay. It's almost that bow and arrow pullback. It is that slingshot pullback. It's almost like God is pulling you back to launch you forward. He said, yes, I could have tossed you forward. He said, but there's more momentum in that pulling back of that slingshot or that bow and arrow. He said, bow and arrow. He said, because that calls you to go farther, faster, with a precise aim. He said, so I'm launching you to go forward, faster, with a precise aim. He said, so don't be weary if you're experiencing a pullback. He said, because I'm intentionally causing you to go back for the future, because I'm getting ready to launch you into your greatness. He said, and it is not a full circle I'm bringing you. He said, I'm bringing you complete circle. He said, you're going complete circle. He said, because I'm causing this circle to be empty, not full, empty. So a complete circle, because I'm filling it up in this season for you. So that word is for whoever's on there. Also, you guys, you can find me at KarenRobinson.com. My name, simple as that, KarenRobinson.com. I do group coaching. I don't do individual coaching other than my Solomon's Porch ladies, but I do group coaching. Right now, I have 2 programs right now called the I Journey. The I Journey is a journey of self-discovery. It has 3 stages. The first stage is help you discover your purpose. discover your gift and discover your audience. Stage 2 is called becoming. We talk about the cost to become. What is going to cost you relationally, physically, spiritually, financially? We talk about the cost to become. We talk about the thought to become. What do you need to be thinking? Not just what to think, what you personally need to think to reach your audience, your purpose, and your gift. We talk about the talk to become. What verbiage do you need to use? I teach you the vocabulary, the verbiage, the conversation, the language you specifically need to be speaking for your audience. And then we talk about the walk to become. The walk to become, meaning the steps you need to take, strategic, intentional steps you need to take. And then stage 3 is called execute. Execute, I help you write your mission statement, your vision statement. I help you with your marketing. And then we help you reach not the world, but your world. So stage 3, the I journey, discover, become, and execute. And then I have come forth. The second group we're doing is called come forth. Come forth is putting a demand on the greatness that's down on the inside of you. Whatever in this season need to come forth, whether it's your true authentic self, a book, a business, whatever need to come forth, it's broken into 3 trimesters because it's bringing forth, it's delivering the greatness that's down on the inside of you. So it has 3 trimesters. The first trimester is understanding you, because in a pregnancy, the first thing we do is we're thinking about ourselves, either, Lord, look what I've done, or, oh, Lord, what have I done in that first trimester. In the second trimester is understanding God, because now you're in awe because the baby is moving. You saw the ultrasound. So you're in awe of God, that he can place life on the inside of you. Now you're feeling and you're experiencing the vision that God placed down on the inside of you. And then the last one is understanding the gift that God's given you. In that third trimester, we're understanding the gifts. And this particular coaching is all spiritual based. It's talking about bringing your gifts, your calling to destiny, because in that third trimester of a pregnancy, now you're doing a baby shower, you're naming the baby, you're getting ready for the baby at this particular time. So come forth in iJourney. Go to KarenRobinson.com. They're both on my website. I would love to be your coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen, everybody. Let's give Karen a great big hand. I love her. I could just listen to Karen all day and all night. She's one of those speakers that you could just put her in your pocket and just put your headsets in and you could just listen for days. I am so excited. Thank you so much, Karen. And please come on Clubhouse, because she drops gems all the time. Every time she comes into the room, it is something extra special that's said about Karen and her journey. So authentic and transformational, and it just makes you it's thought-provoking to where we want to think. So Karen, thank you so much. We love you so much. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys.
Love you too. And matter of fact, love you more. So thank you. We're thankful for Karen. Oh my God, that was amazing, you all. My pages are full of information. That is really good. Are we there yet? Navigating between your here and there. And you all, I'm so thankful because Karen, she set the stage for our next guest, and I just can't tell you what she means to me. We have, everybody on here, we have just really kind of came together in such a beautiful way. I'm thankful for sisterhood. Not only that, you all, it's in my head that next year we're gonna all come together and we're gonna have one big auditorium somewhere, and we're gonna bring a bunch of folks together, and we're gonna be able, everything will be, all the pandemic maybe will be gone, and then we're gonna be able to come together and just have one big spiritual meeting. Z and I talk about that all the time. So I am so excited for Greguyschka. She is the CEO, human behavior expert, imposter identity complex expert. She's going to talk to us about imposter syndrome. She's going to tell us what it is. She's going to tell us how we get through it, what happens when we get it, how does it make us feel. She is an expert. I've heard her talk about the human behavioral piece. It is awesome, and I'm hoping that she will walk us through her journey of what she went through by being in a toxic working environment, corporate America. And I thought I went through something, but when I heard her talk about her journey and what happened to her, it made me think mine was bad, but it wasn't to that degree. Greguyschka is going to talk about to us about leveling up, overcoming the imposter identity complex that keeps us stuck. And I think a lot of us do get stuck. I know I can't tell you that I don't have it, you all, because there are times that I just kind of wonder, about myself. But she's going to walk us through those steps today and how we can take care of that. Greguyschka has a MA in psychology. She specializes in working with high performers who have an urgent desire to transform both their relationship and their business. Her unique approach to coaching comes from her background in neuroscience and trauma-informed approach. And that's what got me interested in Greguyschka when I heard her on Clubhouse. She really went into some steps about the trauma that can happen to us. Even when we get the imposter syndrome. Greguyschka uses pattern recognition to reveal the negative habitual responses that leaders, especially women of color, experience and how to change those patterns to achieve their desired outcome. In short, Greguyschka is credible at helping those of us achieve more success in our relationship and in our life. For more than 10 years, Greguyschka's mission has been to support, connect, and empower an emerging generation of leaders from all over the planet to be change makers, all united around their remarkable ability and purpose to spark change for the good of the world. Greguyschka has an MA in psychology, is an expert on women's leadership and well-being, relationship, trained in strategic and solution-oriented methods for change. Her mission is to help people, especially women of color, combat their imposter identity complex and hidden unresolved wounds so that they can lock in success, both personally and professionally. For more than 15 years, Greguyschka's mission has been to support leaders from all over the planet so they gain in expansion and purpose. She is in the field of transformational leadership. She has been featured and recognized as a change manager. So I am so excited. You guys get your pen and your paper out, write your questions down. We have her locked in here with us for 45 minutes, and we're going to ask her all the questions that we want about imposter syndrome. If you go through it, she is the expert. She is going to guide us through that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Greguyschka, and the floor is all yours, sis.
Thank you. Does everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Yes? All right. So if you know me, you probably know me from Clubhouse. You probably know me from other elements. I am, first of all, thank you so much, Mayrion, for inviting me. I really feel honored to be among so many great leaders right now. But the way I do things is that I want to see people. We see each other's face on profile so many times on Clubhouse. Can we all be for just a half an hour on, I don't care if you're in your PGs, if you are in with your tops, and you're just like, I want to see every single person. I want to see some smile. I don't want to see your profile. I don't want to see your pictures, guys. I see them all the time. Let's see each other. I love it. Hi ID, hi Chanda, hi Z, hi Katrina, hi Taween. I want everyone to see each other, because you know what? We are here to celebrate each other, and we are also here to make sure that we learn, we transform, we grow, and we can't be doing that behind videos and hiding. So let's do that. All right. So the big thing that Mayrion said about me, it is all great. But you know what? At the end of the day, the number one thing I am is a human being. And I'm saying that because oftentimes as women, as men, we are doers first before being first. And the problem with imposter syndrome and the problem with anything that is going on into our head is mainly because we're attaching it with something that is tangible. But the truth of the matter is, imposter syndrome, I speak about it. Yes, it is a real thing. It is not a psychological condition. If you have imposter syndrome, please know this: you're not going crazy. You're not going crazy. It is a real element. It is not evaluated from the psychoanalysis. It is not. However, studies have shown that imposter syndrome is as real as it gets. And the truth of the matter is, it actually impedes everything that you do, your relationship, your business, your career, every single thing. But the great positive, I always love to talk about positive. There's a positive about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is all about high achievers. So if you do have imposter syndrome, no matter matter what's the degree. That actually means that you're a high achiever. You love excellence. You love mastery. So you know what? Take a moment and celebrate yourself, because that means that you are like up there and you want to achieve, but you also have goals. The problem is you're allowing the inner critics and the self-sabotage to stop you from wherever you need to go. Does that resonate with anyone? I want to see some yes and no. I want the chat to move, people. I want to like, I'm an interactive person. So if you know me, I want you guys to use your chat. I want to see that chat moving. I see 14. I know Karen was just dropping some gems. So that means that you guys are all warmed up. So I want you guys to use yourself. All right, good. All right, so let's start. If you have ever found yourself lying awake at night, worrying about being found out, feeling that like a fraud, wondering how you got to the position you're in right now or in the past, in your career, relationship, if you're a mom, comparing yourself with other moms. Like, you know, the first time you're like, oh, I'm pregnant. And you're like, yeah. And then you got that child. And then you go into one of those public community, and there's a bunch of children, and they're starting saying, your child, I don't think I think it should be like, he should be higher. I think it should be bigger. I think it should be heavier. I think your child is maybe missing some nutrients. Remember those comparisons between mothers? Remember? Those are all frauds. Those are all thoughts that either external people are bringing to you, or your background is now talking to you, depending of how you have been programmed when you grew up. You are influenced by not only yourself, you're influenced by your environment. But you see, oftentimes when you speak about imposter syndrome, we speak about it from oh yes, it's linked to self-doubt, it's linked to the inner critics. That's true. However, I link it to identity. You know why? Because oftentimes when we speak about identity, what do we say? What's the first thing? What I want to hear, I want to see the chat. What is identity for you? While I take a sip of drink. Tell me, what is identity for you? It's influenced by it's influenced by your environment. But who are you? Yes, thank you. What else? What is identity for you? I want to see it. Use the chat. Like, let's not be strangers. Like, I know Mayrion gave a whole bunch of credentials about me. I'm a human being. So let's bring it down. What is identity? How I perceive myself. Yes, thank you, Tony. What else? You're laughing. All right, go on. What is identity? What is your identity? Tell me about what is your identity. It is my reason. Okay, yes, more than that. What is your identity? I know Heidi is driving, so she can't say anything. It's how I exist. Okay, now look at everything that is in the chat. What is coming out? It's about your I. I am. So when I have an imposter syndrome thought that comes into you, it is not I do. It is not I compare. It is not, oh, you know what? I don't like to accomplish. Well, you know, I don't like my accomplishment. I am. At the end of the day, what does it resonate? I am not good enough. I'm going to let this sink into your head for a second. What you're saying to yourself, every time that the imposter syndrome kicks in, and you're allowing it to have power over you, claiming your power, you're telling the imposter syndrome that your identity does not matter. You're telling yourself you do not matter. You're telling yourself that you're doing, even if that's where you're hiding yourself behind, is stronger than your being. You have kicked your being aside, and now you're looking around yourself and you're looking at, I am not good enough. Everything that you're saying is resonate to, I am not good. And I'm going to give you an example. Whenever those words comes up, those inner critics comes up, is who am I to do that? What if they find me out? What if they realize I am a fraud? What if they spot that I don't belong there or here? What if they realize that whenever I speak, I don't know the answer? It has nothing to do with what you do. It has everything to do with who you are. Does that resonate with anyone? Yeah? And have you ever gone through that? Have you ever gone through the imposter syndrome or any inner critic that is stopping you? Because at the end of the day, what you're saying to yourself is that my worth does not matter. You're also saying to yourself, my identity does not matter. Everyone else's identity matters. So I speak about 4 things every time that I speak about imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome doesn't come on its own, right? It comes with behaviors, thoughts, and it attaches itself, cling itself to your identity. I speak about it from a family perspective because, you know what, we're all family. So the family are 4 sisters. They're like very close. Sometimes they work together, and sometimes they work separately. But obviously, when you have family and you have siblings, you never are alone because you always have cousins, you know, whether they're close or whether they're far. The 4 sisters are perfectionists. How many people are perfectionists? Be honest, like use this chat. Are you a perfectionist? Like your standards is so high that every time that you're doing something, you're looking into your standards because they're extremely, not just regularly high, extremely high, because maybe your father told you that you cannot come back home without an A++. And even if you have the A++, it's not good enough. Or maybe you're like doing some dishes and some meal, and your mom is like, what is this? And she's comparing you with something else. Or maybe you're being compared with someone else in your family, a sibling. Perfectionist is at this level. The second P is procrastination. See, I actually believe that procrastination and perfectionism goes hand in hand together. Because once you are going into perfectionism, what happens is that you are trying to get to the standard, but eventually you do hit the standard, but eventually it gets exhausting. It gets exhausting. And so what happened is that then you go into, now you have to do another task, right? And usually you do task one after the other. So you want to do the other task and you want to reach to that high level, but you can't. Here's what happens. You start crawling back and you're like, I ain't doing that. I'm going to do something else. And then you procrastinate. So procrastination and perfection, it goes hand in hand. It's like a circle. One feeds the other. And then what does it say? I'm not good enough. Because you're not doing what you're not supposed to do. And then you're not attaining the objective that you're supposed to attain. And then because it's so high, then you procrastinate again. Third sister, people pleaser. Who am I? People pleaser in the house. People pleaser. People pleaser. The cousin of people pleaser are, I have no boundaries. No is never no. Yes is always yes. And you have to stop this, because that also means that you're not worthy enough to be, to say, or to think. There's 5 things about human being. I want to be loved. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be valued. And I want to be recognized. Every time that you put yourself behind the shadow and you're allowing the mask to come forward and you're walking in this life with your persona because you want to survive, you're saying to yourself, I'm not worthy, everyone else is. I'm not worthy, everyone else is. Which means that you're not unable to make and take decision for your own life, and you're releasing your power and you're giving it to someone else. Does that resonate with anyone? 4th sisters. 4th sister is paralysis. Where are my analysis paralysis in the house? I gotta say, I have been there. I still have sometimes struggling with that. I'm an overthinker because I'm an analytical. I analyze every single thing. But the problem is when we analyze all the time, we get stuck. We don't move forward because we're always looking for the best solution, even when the best solution is in front of you. Now, the great thing about people who, like me, who are analytical, and you have that in your team, whether it's from a career perspective or from a business perspective, and even in relationship, the great thing is they've thought about all the eventuality, ups and downs, black and white. And then when you have to come to the decision and you're not an analytical, you are actually the one who's a go-getter, you just tap into their shoulder. Okay, what's the probability of this happening? And they're your best team player. You need to know the people that you're working with and you're associating yourself with. Those are the 4 sisters, the 4 P's, like I say. But then I said earlier, they never come alone. So the cousin, I don't have enough time to talk about all the cousins, but the cousins that are coming oftentimes is lack of boundaries, the inner doubts, so the self-critics, that voice that I call the gremlin. Then you have comparison. I spoke about that earlier. And then we have, I'm missing one. And then we have, I'm missing one. It's going to come back. But we have enough cousins to hold on and to hold us back. I know, playing small, dimming your lights. Oh, dealing. When you're a woman of color, let me bring it, because Mayrion, I wasn't going to talk about my story, but Mayrion brought my story in. When you dim your light, you also say to the world that you're not important. You also say to your brain that you're not important. Even if you're speaking the words, you're acting differently. It does not align. Therefore, your brain says, you oftentimes lie to myself, so I'm going to keep you stuck. When you're lying to yourself all the time, there's 2 type of personality. I'm not saying that you have multiple personality, people. I'm just saying that you have 2 type of showing up in the world. There's the persona, the one that has a mask, the one that the world sees, the one that you don't want anyone to know that you are in pain, the one that does not wear the wounds in your life, the scores that is keeping into your mind, your body, and your spirit. That is the persona who's walking around with this big smile and saying yes to every single person. And then in her head, it's like, I should say no. I should stop comparing myself. I should start playing big. I should stop listening to all those voices in my head. That's the persona that is in front of the world. The problem is you have your real self. Your real self is behind. That's the real true self. But when you're walking in persona all the time, you forget about who you are. And here's what happens oftentimes. It contradicts each other. And when you contradict each other, you're walking in sorrow. You have not only identity issues, but you're walking into, okay, when can I come out? When can I come out? And then you have crisis in your body. And then you wonder why you're in stressful mode, why you're in anxiety mode, when you're in depression mode, when you have so many other elements that are coming because your identity is not the right one. The question for you is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are people, is this serving you? Like, be honest with yourself for a second. Is being in personal mode all the time serving you? Because if it is, that means that you're a successful woman. You have all the desires. So if your financial goals are met, if your relationship goals are met, that means that your children, your relationship with your children are up top notch. That means that your career is exactly where you want it to be, whether it's professional or whether it's business. You are walking the goal, the freedom life. That's what it means. If you're in personal mode and your identity is hidden and it serves you, that's exactly what it means. But if it doesn't, that means that you need to make a choice. And that's the number one thing that you have to do. Tell yourself this, I need to make a decision. Who do I want to be? Life is short. Life is short. Who do I want to be? Now, imposter syndrome hasn't been created just out of the blue. It came out from 2 psychologists initially. There's been many studies afterwards, but in 1978, Dr. Pauline Clance and Dr. Susan Imes conducted the research among high-functioning female college students. And they concluded that an internal experience of intellectual phoniness, that those who feel fraudulence and worthlessness have in spite of outstanding academic or professional accomplishment. In other words, it is the feeling that your achievements are not real, or that you do not deserve praise or success because you actually don't think you deserve it. Going back to your identity. Many famous people even until this day, experience imposter syndrome. But the one that drives, like the one that I love quoting, is Michelle Obama, because she has openly stated that she experienced imposter syndrome. Her, Sheryl Sandberg, Meryl Streep, and so on, and Jennifer Lopez, they all have said that they have experienced. But Michelle Obama said something that brings exactly where I want to go. The question I ask myself, she says, am I good enough? That haunts me because the message that are sent from the time I am little, or the time that we are all little, is maybe you're not. Don't reach too high. Don't talk too loud. You're comparing to your sisters. Look at your sister. Look at your brother. Why can't you be like this person at school? Why can't you be like your neighbor's sister or your neighbor brother? All those information that you accumulate in your brain since you're a kid, if your parents says those things in your mind, in your memory, in the subconscious, right there behind, it says, if my parents don't value me or don't value what I'm doing as now and compare me to someone else, the message that comes back is, I'm not good enough. And we don't know that until we get into a situation and we're like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I choose the wrong partner because I mimic what I know. You don't reinvent the wheel. You mimic what you know, unless you make a decision. So I'll tell you my story. Mayrion, how many minutes do I have? Because I lost track of time at this point. I'm good? Okay, thanks. My father passed away when I was in high school. So the year I was graduating, my father passed away. So it was December. I'm going to skip the year. In December, my father passed away. And in January, when we came back from vacation, I had to go back to school. I was quite open and very much like, what you see is what you get. And I had great parents at the time. But when I came back to school in January, people avoided me. My first score, that's the first thing that stayed with me. People avoid me. I can't trust people when I'm suffering. That's the message that resonated with me. People didn't know what to say to me. Good friends avoided me completely. Teachers were saying things that, shouldn't be said to a child. I'm still a teenager, but because my father passed away, I became an adult very quickly. Now, when my father, and I love my father, we were like very close. When my father passed, before he left, sorry, you're hearing my children, guys. Before he left, my father had hinted that I was a bright woman. I am. And he said, maybe you should be a doctor, because he had a vision that scared him. He had seen young girls of 16 and under starting having lots of baby, being pregnant, and so on and so forth. So he thought that we would all, lose ourselves and go into the world and get pregnant and so on and so forth, which is against our values. So I decided that, hey, why not? I didn't know, I had nothing. I didn't know what purpose was. I was like, oh, maybe I could help these women. So yes, they're going through some trial, but someone needs to support them. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a gynecologist, and I'm going to be able to support those young girls because they didn't have anything or anyone. Most of them would be rejected. And in fact, that's what happened. Most of them would be rejected by their family, or they would be hiding because they didn't know how to announce that to their family. So I go into pre-med, first year. I get into pre-med and I'm like, I hated it. I hated pre-med because it wasn't like, I understood the system. And once I understood the system, and I'm like, I'm going to stay how many minutes? Like that goes against what I'm saying. 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most at the time. And so I dropped. I finished my first year and I dropped. then I was lost because I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I went to corporate world. When I got into corporate world, I was one of the days I started from the bottom up because I was still figuring out what I was going to do. And for me, it was more like a trampoline, right? So it brought revenue. I was still supporting my family and so on and so forth. And then one day I was walking down the hallway and I was looking at the portrait, which was at the time an org chart, which is where you see the different levels of people in the organization. And I was looking at it so intently that a young man, a young black man who has been in that organization for more than 10 years, stood beside me and is like, why are you looking at this portrait so intently? There's nothing so important about it. And I said, I don't know, but something is bothering about this portrait, but I just don't know. So he's looking at the portrait, he's looking at me, and he's looking at the portrait, and he's like, I know. I want you to study the different layers. And I said, okay. We're looking at the first 3 layers from the bottom up. And I see, he says, what do you see? I say, well, I see different people from different cultures, different background, different genders, and so on and so forth. I said, okay, what do you see on the next layer? I said, well, I see women and men who are white. And then he's like, what do you see afterwards? He's like, I said, well, I see older men and they're all white. I'm like, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And then he says to me, well, know this. You'll be able to move up. If you stay here, you'll be able to, or any core organization, you'll be able to step all the way to the 3rd level, but don't even think about going above that. And then I was like, I wasn't raised like that. I was raised like a go-getter. What I have studied, my mom and my dad taught me that if you learn and you study and you have the grades, you can be whoever you want. And I said to him, I remember, I said, that's your story. That is not mine. Now, at that moment, I kind of started understanding where I needed to go, because I realized that I needed to help people like him to know that there was another way out. And most likely there was not enough leaders, female and male, from any background, from any colors, that looks like him out there. And I'm not just talking about skin color. I'm actually talking about leaders that sounds like us, like right now. We don't have enough of that. We have a lot of leaders that are very authoritarian, and we don't even associate with ourselves with that. We just follow the rules. And so I decided that I'm going to go move up. And once I move up, as I move up, I say, I'm going to have mentees and I'm going to help them move up. Not once I'm getting there, as I'm moving up. I did. I proved him wrong, even though he left the company. But I was now in this new purpose because I was driven by it. But years later, I started getting bored because that's nice, but it wasn't. I didn't like I learned a lot from what I did, but it wasn't driving me. The to-do was not driving me. The being drove me, but not the to-do. And I was starting to reflect that, okay, it's time for you to leave. And I was still considering my thing. And then one thing I have learned is that they talk to you about the glass ceiling, but they never talk to you about what's behind the glass ceiling. So I broke the glass ceiling by moving forward in my career. But when I broke, I hit the concrete wall. The concrete wall for me was 4 women. 4 women that were in leadership role. 4 women that hold on to the 3%, not 1%, 3%. 4 women that felt threatened by people moving up because they thought that someone else was going to take it. Like, we often talk about male leadership, but we forget that some women forget that your role is not to hold on to your seat, but to empower other people. I often also say that the movement of women's movement has moved the movement so far, which is so great, but the individual as a woman has moved backwards. So now these women decided that to hold on to what they have, they decided to create a toxic environment. That was a choice. When they did, it actually happened. Here's what happened. In my case, who used to be very loud and very more focused and so on and so forth, I have mentees, and I don't want the story of this young man, this man at the time, to become their story. So I don't tell them anything. And then I have my best friend and my mom, and they're going through their own thing. So I can't talk to them because I don't want to impose on them whatever is going on into my life. So I dim my light. I start not saying anything. Now, the great thing about the human body is that, and the brain, is that it goes into survival mode, right? Your brain has been created for one purpose, to survive and to evolve. But the evolution of your brain is a very slow one. So as the time has passed, your brain is still in the time of the Cromanian's time, because it's like, okay, is there a bear somewhere? Is there some fire that we have to take care of? Your brain is always reactive based on the memories that you've put into your brain. Now, when I started going into this inner being, my body shut down. I became paralysis. I became paralyzed from waist down. I was no longer able to walk. Your body keeps scores. Let me repeat that. Your body keeps scores. When your body keeps scores, it's not because, you know, when there's disease that happens and you have no idea where they come from, and you're like, oh man, I have to pray about it. Like for Christian people, I have to pray about it. I have to like call the devil out. Yes, I agree. You rebuke it, but you have to ask yourself this: where do you lie in your responsibility? You have a personal responsibility to the temple of God that you have been given. I had a responsibility and I neglected it because I didn't speak out. So my body kept scored. When my body kept scored, I was no longer able to walk. The problem is this: it wasn't even about the body not being able to walk, because here's what I said. I go to the hospital to my doctor who was following me, and he says, okay, Greguyschka, you're still not able to walk. And I was in pain, like if there was no tomorrow. And if you thought that if you are a mom and you have ever had contraction, well, imagine that the contraction is all over your body, okay? All the time. Plus you can't walk. Now I go to the doctor and I say to him, hey, listen, doc, I love you. I thank you for following me. Needs a blue pill. Give me a blue pill. I have no idea where I got the idea that blue pill can help you, but give me a blue pill so that on Monday morning I can go back to work. And then, you know, because these people are going to crucify me. That's where my mind was. I cannot walk. Maybe I have to repeat that. I cannot walk. My mind is what the consequences of what's going to happen when I call them the concrete wall, find out I cannot walk. Not they're going to have compassion, they're going to be there with me. No. I started to create imposter syndrome. I started going into hyperventilation, and the doctor looks at me as if I'm crazy because he's like, maybe I missed something, but every evidence shows that you can't walk. What are you talking to me about giving you a pill so that you can go to work on Monday morning? Your mindset is being scored. My emotions are being scored. My body is being scored, and my spiritual life is being scored. It's not just one element, it's everything. You guys have to understand that there's a relationship between your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. And you also have to understand that life is not given, like there's, I think it's Z who said that, or someone else, and says, there's one thing that we all have in common, two things, birth and death. And we all have an appointment with death eventually. The only problem is we don't know when. And we take it for granted that life is given forever. And we mistreat our body. We mistreat our mind. We mistreat our spiritual life. We mistreat our relationship. Even if you're a giver, even if you're like, you know what, I'm a people pleaser. I want to please, I want to serve, I want to do this. The truth is you're mistreating your relationship by not taking responsibility, by saying no is no. I have a right to be, because as I realize and I remember is that when my mom gave birth to me, I didn't come with a partner. I came alone. When I'm dying alone. So no is no. So stop being in the doing or in the having, because they both will come if you are respecting your human being, not your human doing or your human having. Eventually, as you can see, God bless, and I praise God for that. I am able to walk. I am, and I honestly give praise to God, but it was a lot of work. Imposter syndrome actually hit me on top of everything that happened is when I became an entrepreneur, because what I realized eventually, and that's the work that I do, is that every wounds that I had accumulated in my life, in spite of not being, because I still had to deal with some of those elements, comes back and keeps you stuck. They're the one holding you back, not just the limiting belief, because the limiting belief comes from somewhere. Define what's the wounds that is holding you back. What has scored you so much, small or big, that your body has kept scored in your memory, and that every time that you want to move forward, every time that you want to do something else, every time that you want to walk somewhere else, you can't. Every time that you want to have a good relationship with a man or a woman, for anyone who's there, and you're like, oh no, I can't. What is holding you back is your wounds, your trauma. I call it the small traumas, because the big trauma is rape and war and famine. The small trauma is your daily pain that you accumulate and you keep score and that you keep in your memories. So, because I could go on, you know that. So, I'm going to give you a very quick emergency quick fix for the imposter syndrome whenever it comes, right? Because we all have imposter syndrome at different level. Some people have imposter syndrome at 10%. Like if you go on, you might not be able to see it now because I'm doing the summit, but when next week I'm going to have, like, on my profile, or just email me on my profile there, I have a quick quiz that you can define what's your level. Okay. And so if you're at 10%, that means that you have imposter syndrome like everyone else, every single human being. There's 70% of people who go through imposter syndrome somewhere in their life. Like that's like, so that means that you're normal. That's a good thing. Now, the level differ from one person to the next. If you're at 10 to 15%, that means, okay, it comes and you're acknowledging it and you release it. Now, if you're at 80%, 60%, 70%, 50%, it actually controls your life. Your behaviors reflect that too. Okay. So a quick fix, like a very quick fix, because I can't, like, you have to go into my program in order for you to have this transformation. But a quick fix would be, and I'll give it in 3 steps. First, get grounded. So put your feet on the ground, take deep breath. Like I do a breath exercise, take deep breath, release whatever is going into your head. Tell yourself you're worthy. Go in front of a mirror. I love doing mirror work. Go in front of a mirror. And I'm going to tell you, it sounds weird. It looks weird. It feels weird to talk to yourself. But look at yourself. Because here's what your brain does. He recognizes you. Your brain recognizes yourself. So one of the gifts I'm gifting you is the Brain Haughton Miracles, which is going to help you if you do that exercise. You look at yourself in the mirror. Whatever you're going to hear, it's an audio visualization. You listen, but you name yourself and you do it in front of a mirror and you say, Greguyschka, I am worthy. Greguyschka, I love me. I love Greguyschka. And as you say that, your brain is going to say, okay, she's talking, because your brain is recognizing who you are, and then it captures this information and puts it into the brain to reprogram your brain. You have to do that in the morning when you wake up. Why? Because your brain is open to opportunities. And you do it at night before you go to bed, because your brain now can take that information and accumulate it and think and reflect on that instead of all those other thoughts. And then you do it again in the morning, and you do that for 21 days. Usually I push it for 40 days, but 21 days nonstop. The moment you stop, you have to start over. I'm a kick-ass girl, so yeah. Okay. You have to do it over, and you're going to have resistance. You're going to start realizing that, why am I doing this? I'm not worthy. I don't care if you believe it or not. You have to push it in order for your brain to believe it. The moment that your brain, because you have lied to your brain so long that you need to have positive, this is not affirmation. This is literally telling your brain what to do to create new memories in your brain. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to stop here because I could go on forever. You need to go on my program if you want to kick ass. So do that, get grounded, press pause, and visualize. That's it. I'm done.
Awesome. Let's unmic and give her a big clap. She's the best. I told you guys she was. She knows imposter syndrome like nobody's business. So while we've got her locked in this room right now, we got to ask all the questions that we want. And of course, you know, does anybody want to start before I start asking my question? Because I know we've got some questions in here, because she did say something, a couple of things that I want to ask about. Does anybody want to go first before I go? Okay, so I'm going to start it up. So Lady G, are you saying that when you got to the point where you couldn't walk, was that because of the fact that you were holding everything in? I know it was a toxic working environment, but was it because you weren't talking to anybody about what was going on? What caused it to be so traumatic that you got to a point where you couldn't walk?
That's a great question. So when you are silent, I speak about that in my communication course, and I'm going to say it very quick. When people have issues with communication, you fall into 3 categories. You go into silent mode, you go into violent mode, or you go into dialogue. Okay. When you go into the 2 extremes, so when I speak about violence, it could be punching, it could be screaming, it could be angry all the time, and so on and so forth. When you go into silent, you shut down. Okay. I shut down. I went into silent mode because I didn't feel that, like, we oftentimes think that we can't go into dialogue. It's either one or the other. Okay. So I went into silent mode, but as I went into silent mode, every time I breathe the negativity around me. I allowed the negativity to come and become and imprint itself into my identity. So when someone comes and starts saying that a lie, and you're alone and you don't speak, what happens is that you start believing the lie, or you start doubting. And I say, when you go into court, one of the worst thing about court is that it's either you're guilty, or obviously it's guilty or non-guilty, but that's not the worst case. It's when it's doubt. When you have doubt, you don't know if the person is guilty and you don't know if the person is not guilty. Doubt is the worst thing. And so the moment that had happened, so whenever someone would say a lie, that's something I said that I didn't say. And then I'm like, am I supposed to write it down? Because that's not what I'm saying. But when that person or people start saying it over and over and over and over again, and no one has your back, and you're alone, and you feel alone, you feel you can't speak, your body keeps scores. So yes, as I breathe the negativity and I breathe it in my mind, the memory becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And the memory of negativity stays with me. And as it did, because now I'm starting to doubt, I started to understand that maybe I'm lying. Maybe I did say that, maybe. And then you go into that back and forth over and over again. And so, yes, that was one of the reasons why my body shut down.
So would you say, and you made another statement, and you say all of us have imposter syndrome to some degree. And so is it the main things, is it because, and you said it had, some of it could have been because of the way we were brought up and what some of the things that were said to us. Well, then do we ever, as grown-ups, as we grow and even as we transition, does it ever go away, or does it always stay with us?
That's a great question. So imposter syndrome, some studies says that you can get rid of it. And most studies says you can't. You can, what I say, based on the research I've done, you can diminish it. So if you're at 80, 90, or 60, because you're still functional at 10%. So you can diminish it at 10% so that you can continue, because you have to understand from a behavioral perspective, you actually want your brain to be able to kick into gear when it needs to. So you actually don't want to get rid of the imposter syndrome at some point. Because if your brain thinks that everything is flourish and rosy and picky, and a bear actually comes up, or COVID happens, or the pandemic, like remember when the pandemic hit, what did the number one thing that we saw that people were doing, and that was crazy? Go to Costco, go to whatever big stores, and grab some toilet paper. Am I not milk? Not bread? Not things that you actually can survive? Toilet paper in a bunk. So you want your brain to be able to assess situation quickly to give you the gears to survive. So yes, you can diminish it very low so that you can be functional.
Ladies, anybody else have a question they want to ask about the imposter syndrome? I would assume that, Lady G, that this is just me, and I could be wrong about this. As new entrepreneurs or people that are coming over from the corporate space, would you have a tendency to have it a little bit worse then, because of the fact that you are listening to a lot of women that are high achievers? They've experienced all of this success, and you're sitting there looking at them. Would it kick in more at that point by being someone new in the entrepreneur space? That's
a great question. I wouldn't say it's more than, because I actually believe that every time there's a change in your life, every time that you're going to a next level, whether it's transitioning to imposter syndrome, to entrepreneurial, whether it's in your business and you're going to the next level, you're scaling up, or whether you're going for a promotion from a career perspective, every time there's a change and you get into discomfort zone, imposter syndrome kicks in. Because again, your brain wants you to stay in safe zone. It wants you to stay in comfort zone. And what does it rely on? Your memories. So if you haven't released your memories that are negative, it will keep you bounded and hold you back. So that's why your self-esteem, if it's not at the level that it should be, or if your self-worth is not at the level that it should be, then your imposter, that means that you are in comfort zone, or you're working from the 4 Ps, and then your brain is like, we're not going anywhere. I need you to be safe, because remember when you were a kid, or it's going to look for similar behaviors or similar environment that has happened in you in the past. Maybe not the same exact thing, just something very similar, and it will relate it to your identity. That's why the exercise I'm giving is to reprogram your brain so that you can release and allow yourself to feel worthy in order for you to be able to move forward. So that says then, for us to be able to understand, ladies, I totally get it. So what happens is sometimes when we're talking to people, and people can misjudge us, and totally, really the brain and the mind is holding on to a past experience. And if you say something or do something, it triggers that, and they judge you by that past experience. And that's why sometimes our feelings get hurt. And it was like, I didn't even mean it like that. Could that be some of what's going on there? Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
I got that. I got, because I get that. And it's like that was totally wrong. And then I had to think, they relied, because you don't really know that person, so you have to rely on the past experiences that happened.
And that's why, even like now we're talking about business, but if I put it from a relationship perspective, it's the same thing. The reason why so many high successful, high achievers, high functional women, and we're going to talk about women, so if there's men, I'm sorry, but I really am focusing on women now, is that they do the same. They're successful in their career or entrepreneur, but they have a hard time finding a mate. Why? Because they rely on those memories and those early information. And so they create imposter syndrome, and they can't move forward. Okay.
So we have an attendee, and she wants to know, ask you a question. Is fake it till you make it the same as imposter syndrome?
Fake it till they make it. I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Fake it till you make it. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to your brain, and your brain is going to actually think that everything you say will always be a lie. So if you walk from that standard, is walking against your own, well, depending if that's your worth and your value. So that would be an exercise that you need to do. But the truth of the matter is, when you walk in lie, then your brain thinks that everything else is a lie. Remember earlier I spoke about persona versus real self, authentic self. Well, there's a fight inside of you, and that creates anxiety and worry. I'm going to be discovered eventually. So if you fake it till you make it, I would say do not do that. I know a lot of influencers and gurus say that. Please do not do that. Don't follow that, because the truth of the matter is, everything is, you have to achieve. If you have to achieve, you have to work for it. Like, stop faking it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Your persona has taken over your life, and your real self is behind, and it's like, can I come out? Can I come out? Can I come out? And every time you say no, because the persona now takes so much space, you get lost in the shovel within yourself. That's why so many people feel, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I shouldn't be speaking up, I'm dimming my life, and so on and so forth.
Wow. So attendee, no fake it till you make it. You have to do the work. We got to do the work. Then we have someone that says, love that let's not fake it until we make it. That's powerful. And then we have someone that says, thank you for sharing this very impactful message. Fantastic, Tawny. Fantastic job. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. You all, I wish I knew about what was that? I just saw someone put up, I wish I knew about this before, let's see, I wish I knew about the conference before I have to leave, but blessings to you all. Oh my God. Okay, that's okay. We're good. Fantastic job. Thank you so much. You all, this was good. Anybody got a question? Because I'm about to, we're about to let her tell us about what's going on with her this week. There is some fantastic stuff going on about her programs, about her offerings, how you can talk to her more about it, about what goes on Clubhouse, very active on IG. Anybody, any questions? If not, Greggy, tell us what's going on with you this week. You've got a summit with some heavy hitters. You're over on Clubhouse, you're on IG, you're all over the place. Tell us about it. How do we reach you, and how do we get your services?
All right. So, yes, I have a summit that's coming up, and starting tomorrow, I have 20 fantastic leaders, and that's only 20 plus. And I have 4 heavy, big names coming also joining us during the weekend. It starts tomorrow. And one of them is Miss Mayrion Washington, who's going to be speaking on Sunday. On Sunday, and she's going to speak on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. So the summit is all about leadership, but it's also, I believe that people don't understand what leadership means. That's one thing, but I focus a lot on personal leadership, as again, you need to talk about yourself, because in order for you to lead others, you need to lead yourself. So lead yourself first, lead others, and then create great impact. We're on Friday, we talk about worth. So any people that are going to come and speak about that, it's based on worth. The second day is about wealth. So if you want to have financial, understand the financial aspect, risk management, the mindset, we're going to have a prosperity coach that's going to be there, Christopher Slayham, who is a hit radio host, and he's like a successful man. And so he wants to empower women. So he's going to be there. He's the first person talking on Saturday. And then we have Sharon Lecter, who's going to be there. So she's going to share her experience from a wealth perspective. This is one of the women that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She co-authored this book, and so if you have not read this book, I would recommend that you do. And then and we have a private VIP party, so you'll be able to speak and have fun with the speakers, and it's a private party, so you actually have to upgrade. And then the third day is all about womanhood, so relationship, leadership, and wellness. So that is the day that we're going to be there. We're going to have panels. We're going to be very present. It's going to be on. I initially wanted to do it it on Clubhouse, but then I realized that, we're going to do it like offline. So if you want to be there, I have gifted to Mayrion and her audience and her community a free ticket. So make sure that you click on her link. So the link is very simple. It's Lead Her. So LEADHER Masters, MASTERS.com, and then / Mayrion's name. So if you want to be there, please do that. As for what I do is that I'm the founder of Leader to Success. Hello. And and we have the Leader to Success Academy that we're launching again this year. So if you want to get the inner critics, your relationship back in order, your career, get the wealth that you need, but you actually realize that there's something holding you back and you have no idea how to kick that out, come to me. We're doing that. I've partnered with fantastic coaches who are there to support you. And we're actually launching a whole year program so that you guys can be kicking that out. We also have our goal setting, which is a very intense program. And you guys can find me on Clubhouse. I run the girl, get out of your own way, every Monday to Thursday at 4 p.m. with the exception of this week because, it has been a bit crazy. So that is it. That's where you can find me. You can also find me on IG, Greguyschka, my first name, which is written right there. And that's it. That's all.
Awesome. She is Lady G. She is the master of imposter syndrome, and you can get her information. It's right there in the chat box. You can also go to her link. Her summit starts tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. And of course, sis, I love you for showing up for us today. We love you with all that is within us. So you all, let's keep up. Let's go and support at her summit. I cannot wait. I can't wait to speak to everybody and just go. This is what sisterhood is all about. Let's just see how many people today know that we can no longer fake it till we make it. We've been told today, stop saying it and do the work. Because if you fake it, sooner or later, somebody gonna know, or you're not gonna make it if you fake it. So we have to be true to ourselves so we don't end up taking on imposter syndrome a lot more than what we really have to. So we learned today that it is okay for us to do the work and not say that anymore. We got it. Right, ladies? Awesome. Nobody else has questions. Missy, thank you so much for stopping by. I know how busy you are, and with the kids, give them a great big virtual hug from me. And we love you with everything that is within us. Let's give a great big clap up for Miss Gordy. Yeah. Love you, sis. That was awesome. You all, we're going to take it a step further. I mean, she left us with, now we know who we are. We know that we can't walk around thinking that we're less than, but we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and see ourselves as God sees us. And this next person, you all, I don't know the words to say, it is true that what goes around comes around. And this is what she is in my life. She's my big sister, and even though she's younger than me, she's still my big sister because she'll text me, hey, what's going on? What do you need me for? Whatever. But she is someone that God has truly just placed in my life, and she is doing big. She's doing big things. Two sets of twins, 6 children. A nonprofit business, another business, and she works for the Department of Justice, just doing some fantastic things. And I met her years ago. We were working on our doctorate together. All these years later, here we are in the same space. She's my sis, y'all. And I love her to death. We all love her. And when she's going to take us to another level, when I talk about just an angel in disguise, that's what I think about when I think about Z. The biggest heart in the world, and so motivated. And you all are going to leave out here motivated today because she packs a powerful punch. And I love it because her life is organized. Her children, just being able to pull people in. Everybody knows her. When people sees her on Clubhouse, they come in the room. She is just awesome. And I love her for that. Her name is, we call her Z. And I'm about to tell you a little bit about her. And when she comes on, you all are going to see life through a different set of lens, totally different set of lens. So get your pen and paper out, because she's going to drop some gems. And not only that, it's her competence and the beauty of her spirit. Z is driven by her values of learning and community. She believes in living a life full of joy, authenticity, and being intentional in all aspects of her life. And that is totally true. As a successful working mom of 6, she recognizes and understands the methodical management and the intentional focus it takes to organize the chaos and create harmony at home and at work. Using her experience in education, which includes earning a dual bachelor's degree in conflict resolution and interdisciplinary studies with a concentration in social and exercise science, a master's degree in counseling psychology, and a current PhD student in IO psychology. Z helps individuals understand their why, change their perspectives, and tap into their authentic selves to develop a vibrant, fresh outlook on life. You all are going to feel that in a moment. This also helps individuals leverage their existing strengths and gain results that go beyond anticipated results. With the strategy that she calls getting you zinged, she uses genuine, positive, and mindful approaches to empower people, teams, and organizations. She instinctively observes how people are motivated and how to draw unique qualities out of her clients. Z is an outstanding, competent, harmonizing, performance-driven professional, offering extensive experience in personal and organizational development, including soft skills, employee relations, project management, and performance management. Z is competent in communicating with individuals from all levels of organizations and diverse cultures. She has a passion for leadership, motivating teams, training, facilitating, and leisure planning. In her spare time, she enjoys leisurely activities such as traveling, coaching, giving back to her community, and spending time with her family and like-minded friends. You all, I don't know any more to say about her because she is just awesome. And she is going to come to us today, and she is going to talk to us about go, grow, and glow. What are you waiting for? She is the founder and CEO of Live.Leisure.Work, strategist of Live.Leisure.Work, LLC. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Miss Z, and it is yours, baby girl.
Hello! Oh my goodness, Marion. I was like, don't make me cry. I don't. Thank you. Oh my, okay. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here today and just to be amongst such amazing powerhouse, strong woman. Oh my gosh, like I'm excited. Oh my goodness. Greguyschka, you're amazing. It's like everybody is just leading up to where I'm going to go next. And my sister Karen, who came on before that, oh my goodness. So here we go. I'm going to bring it and show you who sent me. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So just bear with me. So I'm going to do things a little different. Greguyschka is very similar. She has a very similar style to me, where I like to do interactive type presentation, right? So I'm also going to put things, and I'm also visual. So I'm assuming the people that know me know that. So I'm going to put things up on the screen. I'm also going to talk to it. And let's see what happens. All right. So let me get ready to present. Here. Bear with me. Okay. Share screen. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome, awesome. So today we're going to talk about strategies to help you identify, awaken, transform, and become who God has called you to be. Okay? So it's time to go, grow, and glow. How did she lose her? How did she lose her? Does any of these images look familiar? It's supposed to be playing in the form of a video, but that's all right. 1 second here. There we go. Problems all around us, right? Problems again. Death and loss, problems again. More problems. Okay, now let's go a little faster. Okay, so let's look at some of the problems that women face in life, right? And I want you to pay attention to the pink. So women face a lot of problems in life. We all know that, right? So not knowing who they are, does that sound like you? Are you confused? Are you anxious? Are you full of doubt, fear, guilt, blame, too much responsibility, distress of the finances? Do you feel like you're stuck? These are all of the problems that we as women face in life, right? Can you agree? Yes? Okay. So some problems women face in leisure. So again, for those who don't know me, I'm a life, leisure, and work strategist. So I tackle specific areas, which is life, leisure, and work. So again, pay attention to that pink, not knowing who they are, too busy, always tired, making a whole bunch of excuses. This is why I can't do this. This is why I can't do that. Struggling with maintaining boundaries and separating what you know as work and life. There's just too much going on. I just don't have time, right? So because you don't have time, you don't do the things you like. Problems again that you may face at work. Greguyschka said it clearly, right? Again, pay attention to that pink, not knowing who you are, right? Afraid to speak up about work issues, lack of confidence, competence in your abilities. You've been there and you're just very complacent. Sexism, career opportunities, financial stress, climbing that career ladder, racial and sexual harassment. These are some problems that you face at work. Am I not correct? Yes? Yes? Okay. So problems, right? But today, I want to talk more than your problems. Today, I want you to have this shift that you're not just seeing problems, but you're also seeing solutions. And I'm going to take you through that journey. And this is a journey that I use all the time. So I keep telling people, don't let this voice fool you. Everything about life is real, and I live it. These strategies that I'm sharing, this is not something that I copied and pasted. This is stuff that I live every single day. So stop seeing problems, right? So I don't know if any of you all are familiar with this. Let's see. Moving a little slow here. I'm just going to read it, and I want you all to see it as well. So do not worry about tomorrow. It will have enough worries of its own. There's no need to add to the troubles each day brings. Therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So do not worry about tomorrow. Are you living today? Right? All right, so here's some interaction. When you look at this picture, what do you see? What do you see? I need to see the chat moving. Tell me what you see. What do you see when you see that picture? Marion, could someone tell me what everyone is? Let's see. I am every woman. Okay. What else? What else are we seeing? And feel free. I think you could also unmute. Feel free. This is interactive. Y'all have been sitting here for a while. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
I see
Enjoyment. Yes. Shopping. Shopping.
balance.
Shopping.
Yes. Love.
Nurturing.
Yes.
You see nurturing love. Okay. Awesome.
Thriving.
Thriving. Okay.
Thriving. Uh-huh.
I see balance.
Balance.
I see
okay.
growth, the leaves, the branches, the growth.
Growth.
Mhm.
Okay.
I see a crown. I see a crown in there.
You see a crown. Yes, you see a crown. Okay. All right.
She's a queen.
She's a queen. All right.
Amen.
So
And the leaves and the green is like the freshness. There's some wealth. It doesn't look like they're worried about money, because she's got them bags and them heels in her hands, so she done been shopping, so she's not worrying about it. She's not worrying about no money.
okay. So what you're seeing life, you're seeing leisure, and you're also seeing work. Awesome. Awesome. So
I see
wonder-
light. I see rays of light. Is that
See
light?
rays of light. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. So a lot of times when people see me, and I don't know if they see you, they see this. Oh yeah, she's just, my God, this mother of six is just doing the damn thing. She's out there traveling, and she's still working, and she's managing the chaos. They're right. They're right. They're right. I'm living this thing called life, because as Greguyschka mentioned, we live on borrowed time. So now this is what they don't see. And this is what I want to talk to you about. So can I have a volunteer to read that?
I can.
Yes.
She is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruits in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that she does, she prospers.
Okay.
Psalm 1:3.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sister. So again, so that's the top and that's the bottom. So come what may, there's this foundation that is rooted in Christ. When people see this, the reason why they see this is because of my roots. She's like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that she does, she prospers. And it's not because I'm planted, I'm not just planted, I'm rooted in him, right? So this is where we're going to go, and stay on board. We're going there. We're going there. All right. So thank you so much for reading. So again, how does she become the new her? How does she become the new her? So if you're ready to move from I cannot to I can and will, if you're ready to move from existing to living, if you're ready to move from confusion to certainty, aimless to being aware and intentional, if you're ready to move from lost to being motivated, from broken to whole, weary to rested, from monotonous to being purposeful, unsatisfied to be overflowing, what do you think you need to do? There needs to be a shift. There needs to be a shift mentally. In order to go, grow, and glow, you have to understand who you are, right? You have to understand who you are. So how does she become her? So you have to identify, you have to awaken, you have to wake up, right? You have to transform, and then you also have to become. And what does that look like, right? What does that look like? What does that look like? All right. Oh, it's going a little further.
You're doing great, Z. Love the slides.
Oh, awesome.
Slides.
Thanks. Yeah, that's just this. That's the thing about the video. All right. So what do you see when you look in the mirror? What do you see? It's supposed to be going back a bit. It's jumping ahead. What's wrong with you, screen? All right, 1 second. All right, so prior to that, it was a whole bunch of images, but what do you see? What do you see when you look in the mirror? What do you see? Just bear with me. Screen. All right, so let's try this thing again. So identify is to establish or indicate who or what something is, right? So in order to identify, you need to look at yourself and say, you know, who am I, right? So how often are you looking in the mirror and asking yourself, who are you? Right? So who are you, ladies? Who are you? Who are you? When you look in the mirror, what are you seeing? So are you a wife, a daughter, mother, sister, or friend? Are you a stay-at-home mom, a businesswoman, lawyer, or doctor, or writer? Who are you, ladies? Who are you? Who are you? So I'm not asking what you do. I am asking, who are you? Do you see yourself like God sees you? And if not, why? He said that you were made in his image. What does that mean? Stop and ask yourself when you're looking in this mirror, what does God see? Right? What does God see? So I encourage you to learn to see yourself as God sees you. God's opinion is the only one that counts. Accept what God says about you. Agree with him that what he's saying about you is true, so that you could become the spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional, and social being that you were created to be. Right? So again, we're still talking about identifying. By understanding who you are in Christ will give you a strong foundation, that going back to that picture, that root, that's a strong foundation to build your life on. Knowing who you are in Jesus is the key to managing life, enjoying leisure, and engaging at work. It sounds so cliche, but that is how, when people say, Z, how do you do it? Again, it goes back to that picture that I showed you. It's because of that root. I'm standing in him, right? It's because of him, okay? So identify again. So I know Greguyschka spoke about affirmations. Right? And it's these I am. How many of you all say I ams regularly? And if not, why? So take the time. I purposely, I could have just not include these things on the screen, but I'm purposely putting it for you to see it as well. So I am. Are you reading these things? Is this how you identify? Are you accepted? Are you a joint heir? Are you a daughter of the Most High God? Who are you? How do you identify? Right? I want you to read it. I don't just want you to hear it. I want you to read it. Do you know this to be true? Are you complete? Are you free? Are you still holding on to baggage? Are you full of fear? How do you identify? Right? So going back to these I ams, these are not Z's words. This is not Hayley's words. Right? Where did I get this from? Did I make this up? This is all truth. Right? I have direct access to God. I can always know the presence of God because he never leaves me. How do you identify? You have been given exceedingly great and precious promises by God. How do you identify, ladies? Are you identifying the way your boss describes you? Are you just a mother? Are you just, that performance consultant? Are you just a coach? Who are you? Who are you? How do you identify? Computers, I tell you, technology, it's not moving. All right, so being consumed by what people think of you is the fastest way to forget what God thinks of you. Being consumed by what people think of you is the fastest way to forget what God thinks of you. Do you agree? So again, we heard Greguyschka talk about imposter syndrome and all of the thoughts and the things that people and society place on you. But how do you identify? Well, for those who know me, I'm always saying that I am God's daughter, right? The child of God works not for life, but from life. She does not work to be saved because she is saved. Do you understand what that means? So why are we continuously trying to work and do and do and do and do when he has already done it? Whenever you face situations, right, when we are defeated, I put this stuff here for you all to see, not just so that you could hear me. I want you all to be able to read these things as well. I need you all to understand who you are. How do you identify? Whenever we feel neglected, we must remember that the great I am chose you. She is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that she does, she prospers. How does she see her as God sees her? So now we're going to move on to awaken. To awaken is to rouse from sleep, right? To arouse from sleep. How many of you all are still sleeping? How many of you all are still sleeping, walking around half dead? Not even existing. Well, maybe you all are just existing, but are you thriving? Are you thriving? Jesus came, he came to wake us up, right? He came to wake us up and to show us what matters. So do not allow your thoughts or the negative things to put you to sleep. identify what's going on, identify who you are and how you're connected, and then wake up. Wake up. You have to wake yourself up. So there has to be this mind shift. And if 2020 did not wake you up, then I don't know what else would. Right? If you came out of 2020 still, you know, just free balling, and you still have that mentality, and there's this mindset did not change, then my God, what are you waiting on? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? What are you waiting on? Are you still sleeping? Are you still sleeping? So wake up, sleeper. Rise from the dead and Christ will shine on you. Wake up. You were created for so much more. You weren't created to get up, go to work, pay bills, die, and do it all over again. You were created for so much more. So is anyone familiar with this story in John 5? Is anyone familiar with this story? Mm-hmm. And if so, I want to hear it. Just give me a quick. John 5, verses 6, 7, and 8.
John 5.
Again, I want some interaction.
The story of the crippled man who was paralyzed since birth, or was sitting by the pool. He was sitting by the pool waiting to be healed for 38 years. And then Jesus comes by and then he heals him.
Yes. What did he say? What did he say?
Pick up your mat and get up.
Right. Get up. Pick up your mat and get up. Right? He didn't say continue to lay down there. The man said he wanted to get healed. Right? So what did Jesus say? Pick up your mat. Get up. Get up. Get up. So ladies, how many of you all are still sleeping? How much longer will you continue to waste your time on this thing called earth? How long do we want to be a part of a world we do not belong to? I'm going to read that again. How long do we want to be a part of a world we do not belong to? Borrowed time, borrowed time. Computer. How am I doing with time?
You're good.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, the screen here is just having a mind of its own, but that's okay. I hope most of you all are awake now. Are you all awake?
We're awake.
Awesome. All right. So let him awake that fire in you. It's not moving. I have to reshare. 1 second here. So while I'm resharing, let's get some conversations going. So what have you learned thus far?
I have learned that it's important for us to stop and ask ourselves who we are. And as I think about that, I think if I don't know who I am, then that is going to open up the door for other people to identify who I am. So I have to know who I am. So when some people come and tell me that I'm somebody that I'm not, I won't be so susceptible to taking something like that in. So I have to look at myself and see myself through the eyes of God, and not see myself through past things that have happened, by I don't have this or that, or judge myself by accolades, but see myself as God sees me. That's what I got out of that. Katrina, did you want to speak on it, or Tessie?
Did we lose Z? Oh, there she is. Yeah, I love the slide where we use I am statements align with the word of God. You know, we tend to go, I am amazing and I am awesome, but to see the scriptures that she listed, to say I am according to the word of God is amazing. So when I stand in the scriptures, I'm standing in there to talk to my source, my resource. I'm giving him back his words, you know? So that's what I really, really loved. I love that concept. I hope we're able to maybe get a copy of just that, because that will go on my affirmation mirror, you know, so that I would love to use I am in context of the word of God. So thank you so much for that, Z.
Dominique, did you have something you wanted to say on that? I think too, Z, I think a lot of it is, I know for me, the last job I have, and Greguyschka can probably speak to it even more, more clear than I am. I had a supervisor that every single day I took a beat down. It was bad. It was, it took me 4 years to heal from the inner wounds, and it was a beating every day. But you all, I learned something from that experience. And what I learned is she was only giving me what was inside of her. She didn't have any kind words to give me. She was giving me. And what happens is she would speak nice to other people, but sometimes when it comes off on you, it's because they see something in you that they desire. And so they're not going to be nice to you. It's going to come out real ugly, and it's to mash you down. I mean, it was a bashing every single day. And it took me a while until God put me in a place where he said, because that was the pain that she carried on the inside of herself. So when she saw you, she saw somebody that she wanted to be. Did anybody want to speak on that? Because a lot of times that is exactly what's going on. But sometimes when we're caught up in the moment, we can't look at it like that, because they're doing it and you're like, what's going on? But when you step away from it, hurt people hurt other people, right? Wounded people wound other people, right? So that's what was going on. When she looked at herself, she did not see herself through the eyes of God. She actually saw herself through quite a ugly, hurt person. And that pain came out. That's what I got out of it. So that's why when I look at it as we have to know who we are as individuals. If we don't, somebody else is going to redefine us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for just chatting and having this conversation while I'm experiencing these technical difficulties. But that's all right. We're going to get it back on and let's go. So again, we're speaking about awaken. It looks like it's still loading. Okay, so again, you have been called for more. We are not called to exist or just to drag along, but we were made to thrive. We were made to be alive. We were made to live in abundance in him. Are you still sleeping? If so, rise and shine. Arise and shine, for your light has come and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. It's time to wake up, ladies. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? So now we'll move on to transform. And to transform is to make a thorough or dramatic change in the form of appearance or character. right? How do you transform? How does one transform? God has called us to be the salt of the earth, right? And what does salt do? Salt adds flavor, right? He has also called us to be the light. So salt adds flavor to what has none, and salt adds seasoning, zest, and zing, right? Are you transforming? Is there a renewal of the mind? Do you understand that you were created for more? We all have the ability to bring zest, color, and light into the world. Do you know that? So by the renewing of our thoughts, it starts in the mind. It's all a mindset, right? I'm sure you all know that. So again, you have to be able to identify, and you identify with who your identity is in, right? And then you're supposed to wake up and move, pick up what you need and walk, move, have some actionable steps, move, right? Then you transform. So we are the light of the world. We can only transform the world through the one who loved the world. Do you understand that? So to become is to begin to be. To become is to live intentionally. To become is to grow. To become is to turn into. To become is to be, you always hear me talking about being intentional and authentic. To become is to identify who God is and what he says about you. To become is not to be sleepy and walking around just to walk around. Wake up, ladies, get up, rise up. If not you, then who? Right? If not you, then who? So start with the end in mind. Start with identifying who you are in Christ, right? It's not rocket science, but it is a process. Okay? The best strategies help you locate who you are in a world that does not know who it is. That's true problem solving. Okay, so the call to action here, if you don't get anything else, it's time to get up. It's time to get up. Stop making all these excuses. You know, oh, my computer is not working. Oh, technology is in the way. Oh, things happen, and you just have to roll with it. It is what it is. It is what it is. You saw a prime example here. You know, am I going to roll over and hide? No, I'm just going to get up and go. I'm going to get up and go. Because I am not the computer issues. I am not all of these things, right? I know who I am, right? So there's this you still give yourself grace, and you keep on keeping on. That's how it works. That's how it works. You know, I'm not going to sit here, oh, woe is me, oh my God. No, just keep on moving. Keep on moving. Because God has created me. He has created you to do so much more. Right? So what God has called us to is far bigger and greater than what we can handle. We must trust him to work it out, So many times we give it to God and we take it back. We say, God, yes, I trust you, but then you're really not trusting him, right? So in order to become, you have to trust. In order to become, you have to understand your identity. In order to become, you have to wake up. In order to become, you have to transform. All of these things need to happen. Right? So get rid of the excuses. Oh, I have 6 kids. I can't do this. Oh, I have so much going on. I have so much. I have a husband that's not doing what he needs to do. I can't do this. I have a coworker that's, my God. Stop making excuses. I could tell you about all the excuses in my life, but none of that is keeping me from moving my feet. None of it, right? So if you don't get anything else from this presentation, I want you to understand who you are. All of these I ams, when these negative thoughts come to your mind and it's overpowering, it's overwhelming. And yes, you have times where you're going to be down and out. You're human. Jesus had his moments. He had his moments, but did he, you could get there, but don't stay there. Right? We all get there, but don't stay there. That's when it starts to become toxic. That's when Greguyschka mentioned, that's when things started to explode. And stress manifests itself in many different ways. So you have to understand who you are. We're not created to carry all these burdens of stress and other people's problems. We're created for so much more. Right? So get rid of your excuses. If God called you to it, trust him to bring you through it. He will give you the resources. He will give you the means. He will give you what you need to walk it out. You just have to trust him. You have to trust him, even though if you're afraid or even if you can't see, if you want to get healed, you have to trust him. So he will equip you and give you the strength you need to get the job done. That's just the reality of it. Get rid of the habits and attitudes that are self-serving, right? That's out of alignment. Stop it. Stop it. If it's not aligned with God's word, you don't need it. You don't need it. Understand who you are. Daughters of the Most High God, understand. Okay, disconnect from your toxic tribe if you have any. Right? Your old culture, even family members, disconnect. If it's not serving you, then you don't need it. Disconnect from it. Get up and do something productive that would allow you to put your gifts and talents to good use. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I'm speaking to you, Dominique. I'm speaking to you, Tessie. Get up. What are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? Why do some people wait until they receive a death sentence to say, oh my gosh, well, let me go and jump out of an airplane. Let me go and do X, Y, and Z. Let me try to live my life now, because you know what? The doctor said I have 6 months to live. Why? 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 Why not now? If not you, then who? It's time to go. It's time to grow. It's time to glow. Be that light. Be that light. Be that light. You are that light. You are that light. Understand that. Put scriptures all over whatever works for you. I know it's scriptures. And when I think of God's promises, I have to plaster it all over. I need to see it, right? I need to hear it. Do what works for you and then move your feet. It's time to go, grow, and glow. Identify, awaken, renew, become, and get zinged. So for those who don't know, when I talk about zinged, zinged is love, zinged is joy, zinged is zest. So what you're seeing here, hopefully I'm able to get you zinged, but it's about positivity, it's encouragement, it's understanding who I am in Christ. And if God has called me to be that light, then I'm going to walk in it. I'm going to walk in it, come what may. And if you only peel back this onion, you're like, oh, see, you have all that going on, and see, you're still able to smile, and see, you're still able to inspire others. What is it? I tell them it's not me. When you see me, don't look at this. When you see me, see Christ. When you see me, see that light. When you see me, understand who sent me, right? So get up, 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 get up. Get up. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? When? Stop making excuses, ladies, mothers. Stop making excuses. I think this will be a good place to finish. I'm not going to go on and on. It's real. It's real. It's real. So I'm just going to show you pictures of my 6 amazing Z's, but it's real. It's real. You know, nothing about this life is perfect, but I have a perfect God. Right? So keep on keeping on, get up and move. If you have children, they're looking at you, but it's even bigger than my children. It's understanding who I am in Christ. And he has created me to be more than a mother, to be more than a person in front of you. I'm created for so much. So are you living that out? Are you walking in it? Do you understand? Do you understand who you are? Straighten your crown and walk it out, walk it out, walk it out. Get up. Get up, ladies. Get up. Time waits on no one. Waits on no one. Get up. There's so many sister friends out here that will help you. Stop blaming it on resources. Stop blaming it. Stop blaming it on all sorts of stuff. Things happen, life happen. We know that. Then what are you going to do? Where there's a will, there's a way. And with that, I am going to wrap this up and just say thank you. So if one takeaway, get up. I usually tell people, shut up and get up. You know, stop making excuses. One takeaway, get up, get up. And once you get up, realize that you have to move your feet. Don't just get up. You have to move your feet. You have to move your feet. Things are not going to come to you on a silver platter. Get up and move your feet. All right. So I am Z and I am complete.
She packed it. She packed it. Mic drop. Packed a powerful punch. And those are the 6 babies. And Z, I do have a couple of questions. Amazing presentation. And if you don't mind, if you could, I believe it was Tessie that wanted the affirmations you had. I think she said that she wanted them. I think that was Tessie that said that. That was amazing. I want you to tell us about how you, with everything that's going on in your life, how do you, and some people don't have nearly as much stuff going in their life, and they don't have the children that you have and all of those things. What would you say to those people that are not motivated to get up and go forward? What do you say to that, and how do they get motivated?
They have to understand who they are first, right? You have to, to me, everything starts with identity and understanding who you are. Whether you believe in God or not, you should still know who you are. Right? So being self-aware, right? Understand what makes you tick. You know, what makes you get upset? How do you get motivated? What motivates me may not motivate Dominique, right? What motivates me may not motivate Katrina. You have to understand who you are and what you like. And then once you find that, and there's so many resources, if you're looking for some of those resources, feel free to ping me. I have tons of resources that will walk you through different steps and ask specific questions to help you identify your skills, your passions, your talents. There's so many steps and processes that I could take you through, but it's a self-discovery journey, right? Like I can't, what motivates me may not motivate everybody else. So you have to find that for yourself and do the work of peeling that onion. Right. And again, I have the strategies. You could Google it as well, but I have strategies that have helped tons of women understand who they are, and I was able to motivate the mess out of them, right? Because it's more, and once you're able to dig in and to understand their why, or when I should say this, when they are able to partner with you to just dig a little deeper, then it unravels. But it's a process. It's a process. Does that answer your question, Mayrion?
It does. It does. It does, because there are some people that you know, and I don't make excuses for people, but have you ever heard people say that's easy for you to say, but you don't know what I've been through? And so for those people that are so hurt and they, you know, they just can't pull out of it. They can't seem to pull out of it. And it's stuff that happened 40 years ago, and they're still holding on. Do you have a word for those people?
Honestly, I could lead someone to the water, but I cannot push their head and say, drink. I just cannot. And throughout my life, I have gotten into tons of trouble by pushing people's head and saying, don't you see the water? I see you're thirsty. Don't you see the water? I've gotten in tons of trouble by pushing their heads in, right? And I don't know how many of you all could relate. I am not Jesus. I am not Jesus. And a lot of times I go around thinking, I used to, but there has been a mind shift now. You know, I would go around thinking that, oh my goodness, you know, I want you to see what's out there for you. I need you to believe. But until they are ready, until they reach this, oh hell no moment, I'm ready for so much more. As a coach, I cannot force them, right? They have to want it. And then I come alongside you and I hold that light and I motivate you, I encourage you, and I say, yes, you can, yes, you can. And I help you understand the process that you're going through, but it's one that I am partnering with you. Like you lead, I follow. I give you some of the strategies if you want it, but at the end of the day, I don't push their head down. I don't stuff their mouth. It's like having children and saying, you need to eat, you need to eat. I even tell this to my oldest, you know, I need you to eat, but I'm not going to force you. If you don't eat, that's it for you. You need to eat. So there comes a point in time where you just have to allow people to go through their journey. You could only give them so much information, but they have to be willing to move their feet. They have to be willing to get up. They have to want it. They have to have that hunger. And a lot of times, as I mentioned, some people wait till they're the end of their rope to say, oh my gosh, and it shouldn't be that way. Right? So if you understand, again, your identity and why you were created, if you understand that you were created to do more than just pay bills, and if you understand that, then there's this fire. There's this fire that lights up your backside to move, right? There's this fire. But if you don't understand that, so what I do is I help unpack that process. I help you to understand what's going on. I help you identify these issues so that you can manage life, right? You could enjoy leisure and you could also engage at work or in your business. Because again, if your personal life is all haywire, then you can't be good for anyone else. If you don't know who you are, then you're going to show up in these spaces and they're going to tell you who you should be. So it starts with identity. It starts with knowing who you are. You have to know who you are. Otherwise, you're just there. You're just existing. You're taking up space. So
that is beautiful, ladies. I don't know the words to say about that, especially when we do run into people that, you wonder sometimes why the heart problems, because if you carry around stuff for 40-something years and you didn't get rid of it, it's going to weigh on your heart after a while. So when that man did tell Jesus gave him something to do, pick up your bed and walk. It was as simple as that. And Z, let me ask, is there anybody that has any questions for Z? Because Z, in the chat, I see meeting people where they are is a factor in unmotivating them, empathy. And then that's good. There's power in self-discovery. You got me zinged. That's what one of the attendees say. Love, love, love it, 20. Thank you, Z. Get up and move. All I see in this chat is get up. So Z, we got it. Thank you for waking us up. You are a zinger indeed. Get up. Let's go. Your family is Beautiful. Thank you for this word. So adorable. You have to do something. You have to get up. And I think our big takeaway, she cannot be moved. Pick up your bed and walk. Amen. I never thought to ask myself this question. Who are you? God's masterpiece. Z, that's awesome. Just awesome. Ladies, we love it. Does anybody have questions? They look like y'all covered her in the chat really, really well. 2 new messages. Let's see what they are. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think what we all took away from it, Z, was awesome stuff. And in here, Z, I want you to tell us how we get in contact with you. Where are you? You're on Clubhouse. You're on IG. How do we get in contact with you? If we needed to talk to you about something, I see your contact information. amazingz@gmail.com. Instagram is amazinglyz. Tell us where we can hear more of what you have to say, you're teaching. If we wanted to book a call with you, how do we get in contact with you to do that?
Oh, thanks, Marion. So feel free to get into my DM. I'm always on Clubhouse. I'm always on the Clubhouse streets. I love it. I love it. So I do a lot of partnering with Marion, Pretty Pearl, a lot of these wonderful ladies, even Dr. Clay, Greguyschka, Katrina. You know where to find me. I am here. I am here. So also for my nonprofit, I'm getting ready to plan a retreat, and it's a conference where you could learn all of these things, right? We're going to come together and spend some time understanding who we are. So I'm planning that in late October. But other than that, I also have this group coaching class where we're going to discover who you are. Again, I always talk about identity and being intentional, right? Because it's one thing to know who you are, but it's another thing to just stay here, not being, you have to move again, get up and move. So to know is one thing, but to actually do something with what you know is another, right? So feel free, just DM me. I am here. You cannot not find me. So Amazingly Z on Instagram. I'm there on Clubhouse, Amazingly Z again. Wherever Marion is, you could find me. So if you're if you're with Marion, you know where to find me. So it's not rocket science, right? In order we all can manage life. We all could enjoy leisure, and we all could engage and to come alive at work or in business. There's more to life. There's more. So thank you.
Awesome. We love it. We love it. Let's give her a great big hand clap, everybody. Awesome stuff. And you all know that we're over. So these topics must have been on fire, because we definitely, we went over. We were supposed to have our mini coffee break at 4:15, from 4:15 to 4:30. So I just want to ask you ladies, do y'all want to still have the coffee break and come back? We got Dominique Haughton, who's going to be talking about wearing confidence as a shield. And Miss Hayley Dennis is in the building talking about leading with bold confidence. So the second half of this is going to be all about your confidence, building you up and giving you those tools to be a confident woman in your personal self, so you can be a confident woman in your business self. So do you all want to go on this 15-minute break and come back? Hayley, ladies, what do y'all want to do? Is that y'all want to take a break? Crystal, everybody, Fonda, Chanda, y'all want to take a little bathroom break and come back? Y'all want to unmute 20? Y'all want to do that and come back? We got some breakout rooms if we want to network a little bit. What y'all want to do? Z? It's left up to you all. Dominique, what you want to do?
Either way, I'm fine.
Yeah. Hayley, what about you?
Either way, I'm fine too.
Okay, Tessie?
I am okay either way.
Oh, okay. Katrina, Greguyschka. Yeah, you all, we want to take a little break and then come back, and I know the last part of this is going to be really, really good. If we went over, it was good. So you all want to do that and come back in like 15 minutes? That's okay? Okay, let's do it. We'll meet and we will come back in 15 minutes. Dr. Crystal is in the building. We'll see everybody in 50. Is that Fanya? Yep, and Kizia. We will see awesome, Missy. We'll see everybody in 15 minutes, and then we're gonna see what everybody's got to say about confidence. See you in 15.